Chapter 451. Deep in the night, Impatience woke up from her sleep and realized that there was something strange under her body. In her daze, she stretched out her hand to touch and realized that she was lying on top of Yu Yang's body. Her drowsiness receded like a tide, and her mind was completely awake. She opened her eyes and looked at her sleeping lover. Looking at the soft light shining on his handsome face, she could not help but sigh. From the looks of it, this brow was not bad looking. There was no cheeky smile on his face during the day. He was sleeping quietly. His handsome face and perfect body emitted an indescribable unique charm. Perhaps those legendary sleeping gods were like him right now. Impatience never felt that a man's sleeping posture would be good. Tonight, she finally overthrew her inherent belief. Compared to him in the day, the sleeping Yu Yang had two completely different charms. In the day, he was mischievous and full of energy. His smile was a little evil. No matter how she looked at him, he looked like a little rascal. But she could not get angry at him. When he looked at his enemies, it was always filled with ridicule. When he looked at his family, he was like a little fox. He was never willing to show his true face to others. But when he looked at women, he was incomparably domineering. It was as if he could see into the inner world of others. It was as if he could see through the clothes they were wearing. He was this kind of overbearing, evil person. Those who provoked him would not have a good ending. However, when he was asleep, he was completely different, very quiet. He was not like Heaven's fury, who could fall asleep at any time and his snoring could shake the heavens. He did not. Yu Yang did not seem to fall asleep easily, unless he was in a safe place. And when he was asleep, he was abnormally peaceful. If one were to see him now, they would think that the bad and perverted Yu Yang in the day was an illusion. This kind of deep sleep brought with it a kind of inexplicable loneliness. He always wanted to hug someone to sleep, as if he would be abandoned by the world if he did not do that. Although he was very arrogant and domineering in the day, Impatience was very sure that he was a man who was afraid of loneliness. He had a low sense of security and needed comfort. No one knew the secrets of his heart. He hid it very well during the day. No one noticed it, and he would never show it. Only when he fell asleep at night would he reveal his true weakness. No wonder he was so reliant on Fourth Mother. It was because Fourth Mother's motherly nature was exactly what he needed the most. It was no wonder that the sickly beauty in the others would always leave at least one person behind to accompany him. In this world, only his women knew his true weakness. It was also they who had always given him comfort, so that he would no longer be lonely. Little scoundrel, in the future, I will also take care of you. I don't think I can replace Fourth Mother, but I can also be your little mother. I will love you forever. Impatience kissed Yu Yang's forehead tenderly, then lightly kissed his lips. Then, satisfied, she bent down and continued to lie on his chest. Everything that had happened with him earlier replayed in her mind. From the first time they met, to the several life and death battles after that, to the body fusion, to the reforging of her foundation after leveling up, to the farewell to the Charm Demon Palace and the test of the cards of fate, all flashed in her mind. Most recently, she and Luo Hua City Mistress were at loggerheads. At night, she had peeked at his lovemaking, watching Luo Hua swaying and moaning like a horse on his body. Also, she had a little secret love affair with him during the day. Whenever she thought about it, she would feel very happy. What made Impatience blush the most was the lingering actions with him before falling asleep. From the initial nervousness to relaxation, then it was the unbearable desire of her body. She passively and shyly kissed him. She even took the initiative to put his hand on her chest and let him play with the big treasure in front of her chest. Later, she even excitedly fed the bud into his mouth, like a little mother, letting him suck and let him enjoy her gentleness. While his bad hands were playing tricks in the small garden below, her whole body was trembling. She never thought that this kind of thing would be so happy. His bad hands could simply make people hover between life and death. Also, he was really bold. He actually dared to lean down and kiss that place. For the first time, she had the feeling of bliss of her soul soaring into the sky. That feeling was unforgettable. This was given to her by him. After tonight, she finally understood. Doing that thing turned out not to be scary at all. Instead, it was very comfortable. No wonder fallen flowers would moan with infinite joy. Not to mention her, she also couldn't help but cry out. Knowing that everyone would hear it, she still couldn't help it, because it was too comfortable. Impatience recalled the lingering just now. Her jade face became even redder, and her body gradually began to heat up. Her body, which was a little tired, was quickly injected with vitality. Her tiredness disappeared without a trace. Instead, she had a strange feeling of wanting to exercise vigorously and sweat. There was only one last step left. She didn't really give it to him. Other than that, every part of her body had been kissed by him. Even the most private little garden had been occupied by him. He kissed to his heart's content. He was only one step away from entering the room and becoming the real master. She had originally wanted to give it to him, but she was afraid that there would be a violent reaction and wake up Bing and the rest. Based on Traceless and Fallen Flowers' situation, the first time she made love with him, there would be an extremely powerful phenomenon. It might even increase her level. Fallen Flowers had advanced to the innate stage after making love with him. Would she be able to surpass the current innate stage 10 and reach the innate stage first level? Bad guy, how many secrets do you have? Impatience happily kissed him. The more she looked at him, the more she wanted to kiss him. This kind of bad guy was really likable. There were always so many girls around him. It seemed that in the future, she would have to be like Fallen Flowers. She would seduce him at night and serve him well, so that he wouldn't have the chance to go out and fool around. Her little hand reached down and found that the bad guy was still as proud as a gun in his sleep. Maybe this bad guy was having that kind of dream. Impatience felt like her body was on fire. On one hand, she was embarrassed, but on the other hand, she couldn't resist her desire. Her body seemed to be out of control. Her little hand was holding onto the bad guy, unwilling to let go. He was very gentle. He was afraid that he would hurt her, so he didn't want it. But she was sure that what he really wanted was to protect her body, so he endured it. Since that was the case, she might as well take the initiative. Just like what he said, she might as well push him down herself. He would definitely be happy. Impatience's mind suddenly flashed with such a bold idea. She was shocked. Could it be that she was affected by her guardian beast, the Charm Demon Queen? But she shouldn't be able to affect her mind. The idea of pushing down was very powerful, but Impatience didn't have the confidence to do it. She opened the blanket slightly and looked at it for a long time. She felt that it was a little difficult. Looking at Fallen Flowers sitting on him didn't seem too difficult. First, there would be a round of kisses, then she would sit on him like riding a horse. Let's try it. Maybe I could do it too. Impatience gathered her courage. If Fallen Flowers could do it, why couldn't she? Moreover, she had already observed the process carefully. It was just that she wasn't familiar with the operation. This wasn't the Academy's exam. As long as she could complete it smoothly, it was fine. Before this, Fallen Flowers seemed to have been sucked by him for a long time. If not, with Traceless's service, it should be moist. Impatience gathered her courage and tried to imitate Fallen Flowers' position. After trying a few times, she realized that it was very difficult. Her lips and tongue were very clumsy. She didn't think that she would be so stupid. Her movements were completely stiff and out of shape. Moreover, Yang was too bad. What are you doing? Yang was awakened by Impatience's clumsy movements. No, Impatience was too ashamed to show her face and hid under the blanket. After a long time, she crawled out amidst Yang's loud laughter. She almost didn't dare to look him in the eyes. I just wanted to try. It seems that I'm really not as good as Fallen Flowers. Yang held back his laughter. Don't mind this. Fallen Flowers was even more stupid than you. Phoenix Fairy Beauty buried her head in Yang's chest. Using a voice that she could barely hear herself, she said the bravest words she had ever said in her life. The promise that we had just made is canceled. I want to do that with you. Yang was stunned. Meow, why did this girl think it through so quickly? She's not afraid of pain anymore. Impatience bit Yang's chest shyly and hit his shoulder with her fist. Not here. Let go my grimoire world. It's just the two of us, okay? A beautiful woman with seductive red lips, wanting to receive a new favor, What a blessing in life. How could Yu Yang let down the beauty's good intentions? He picked up Impatience's soft body and entered Impatience's grimoire world under the guidance of Impatience's guardian beast, Charmed Demon Queen. Yu Yang didn't look at this space that was similar to the Charmed Demon Palace. He didn't have time to be distracted and only wanted to kiss the beauty in his arms. Their love lingered endlessly and the fire of passion burned. Impatience fell on the bed and covered her eyes shyly with her hands. She actually wanted to see, but she was really embarrassed and didn't know how to cooperate. When Yu Yang kissed all the way down and gently sucked the bright red bud, Impatience moaned in comfort. Her hands couldn't help but press his head tightly on it, so that he could clearly feel how beautiful her most beautiful and most abundant treasures were. This was the legendary suffocation of happiness. Yu Yang was so excited that he almost cried. One must know that compared to city mistress fallen flowers and sickly beauty, the big treasures in front of Impatience's chest were much more powerful. The suffocation of happiness in his dreams really had a chance to come true. What was there to regret in life? What made Yu Yang feel the most fatally tempted was that the Charmed Demon Queen actually dared to come out and help her mistress serve together. The Charmed Demon Queen sucked hard under him. Although it was her first time doing this, her technique was undoubtedly much better than her mistress. This was because, as a charm demon, she was born with this kind of natural ability. She didn't need to learn or practice. Once she had the chance, she would display her natural instinct that surpassed everything. The pleasure obtained by the Charmed Demon Queen would also be transferred to Impatience, who was connected to her. This double pleasure made Impatience reach her limit very quickly. "I can't take it anymore. I'm so sad." Impatience hugged her lover tightly, trembling in passion. The Charmed Demon Queen's constant transfer of pleasure made her stay in the ecstasy of orgasm for a long time, unable to recover immediately. Yu Yang took the opportunity to use body fusion. This was the best opportunity. Impatience was now an innate level 10. Could she break through to Heaven's stage and become the second or third female sovereign after Jizun? Chapter 452. Yu Yang really hoped that he could help her break through in one fell swoop. Impatience never lacked talent. She just lacked the state of mind to break through. Now was the best time to break through. Countless runes, heaven runes, and ancient runes shone brightly. They formed a variety of patterns. The more Phoenix Fairy Beauty's mind was immersed in happiness, the more diverse and mysterious the combination of the Phoenix Fairy Beauty's body became. The purest innate chi flowed endlessly from Yu Yang's mouth into Impatience's mouth, and then flowed through her entire body. Nirvana flame burned on Yu Yang's right hand as he gently pressed it on Impatience's back. Body refinement and breakthrough at the same time. With Impatience's current energy, it was not enough to break through to the elder innate realm. But Yu Yang had a way. Every time her energy was exhausted, he would drip God's dew or even God's water into her mouth to restore her body to its best state. Then, he would use Nirvana flame and innate chi to refine her body again. Under such circumstances, Impatience would be able to refine her body and achieve Nirvana rebirth. Her meridians were already connected, but what Yu Yang wanted was not just the meridians. He wanted Impatience's entire body to be in a state of pure body refinement. What he wanted was for her body to reach its most perfect state. Then, he would use God's water and Nirvana flame to reshape her body to become an indestructible existence like the legendary divine body. This was his real purpose. Of course, the most important thing was to carry out dual cultivation at the same time. That was the key to breaking through to the next realm. Body refinement needed to reach the elder innate realm to complement each other. When Impatience was about to break through to the next realm, Charmed Demon Queen immediately merged in her body and used all her energy to help her master break through. She was a strengthening type guardian beast and could be said to be one of the most important aids to her master. The combination of Yu Yang and Impatience was the beginning of the husband and wife dual cultivation. It was also the first step to breaking through to heaven rank and becoming a female elder innate realm. The powerful dragon spear was raised high in the air. When its master arrived outside the mysterious garden, it forcefully announced that it was the new master of this land, using the action of conquering and that unquestionable attitude. When its master rode forward to occupy a new territory, there was no power in the world that could stop its advance. The tender and dewy petals did not stubbornly guard the door. In its passion, it welcomed the arrival of its new master. Even though it was too weak to bear it, it didn't resist or deny it. The cries of the virgin represented the loyalty of the original mistress. She, for the new conqueror, for the love of her life, dedicated everything. Fallen petals were everywhere. This was the best gift a lover could receive, representing the lover's past purity and future loyalty. It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. Phoenix Fairy Beauty was in so much pain that she trembled slightly. A tear rolled down her cheeks silently, but she held on to Yu Yang firmly, hinting him to continue moving forward. She did not want him to stop because of her weakness. "Love you forever." Yu Yang gently kissed away that sparkling teardrop, using the most gentle kiss to reduce her pain as much as possible. Continue moving forward until they were one. The most important part of the body fusion ceremony of husband and wife was carried out, and it was successfully completed. Innate Chi, Nirvana Flame, God's Dew, and God's Water completely reconstructed Impatience's perfect body, allowing her to infinitely close to the legendary indestructible divine body. Body fusion had reached the pinnacle, and the runic circle had changed to the best combination. Impatience's summoning grimoire appeared. Colorful lights bloomed, a golden rainbow pierced through the sky, and a new fragrance that had never been there before filled the entire space. And a huge pillar of light shot up to the sky. It turned out that when Impatience leveled up to innate, the pillar of light was not more than 200 meters. Now, with Yu Yang's help and many efforts, Impatience had successfully broken through to a new realm. From innate level 10, she took a step forward and stepped into the realm that only innate elders could reach, innate elder. This was what the warriors of the heaven realm called heaven rank. The pillar of light that was originally less than 200 meters broke through and suddenly rose to more than 300 meters. Its height doubled. There were also countless rainbows that seeped out of the grimoire and slowly entered Impatience's body. Her guardian beast, Charmed Demon Queen, also rose rapidly in the colorful light of the breakthrough. It was not a change in level, but a qualitative change in her body. The wings and tail on Impatience's back, as well as the pair of small and cute curved horns on her head, were constantly fading. Impatience had successfully leveled up to innate elder level 1, a female supreme elder, which was also known as heaven rank level 1 in the heaven realm. Charmed Demon Queen, she was still evolving. Qualitative change needed a process. But what was certain was that her future would become limitless with the improvement of her master's strength. Maybe one day, she would not only be promoted to a divine beast, but also become the world's first charmed demon goddess. When Impatience was about to finish leveling up, suddenly, Yu Yang, who had not leveled up for a long time, also received the energy from Impatience. At the same time, his energy soared and rushed to a higher realm. His summoning grimoire automatically appeared as well. Following that, a golden pillar of light shot towards the sky. Yu Yang's whole body was instantly bathed in the golden light of leveling up. The grimoire opened to the first page, which showed that his level had risen from innate level 3 to innate level 4. According to his innate level 1, he was equivalent to other innate level 6. Yu Yang, who was innate level 4, was equivalent to innate level 9. After the breakthrough, Yu Yang had enough confidence and strength to defeat Shun Tian or the Black Prince, even if he met a super innate like Shun Tian or the Black Prince again. He could even kill them under certain conditions. Yu Yang had never expected that he would be able to help Phoenix Fairy Beauty break through to Elder Innate Realm and level up to innate level 4. However, this was not a bad thing. To Yu Yang, the energy from Impatience's energy was a hint. Before this, Yu Yang must have received this kind of energy from Sickly Beauty and City Mistress Fallen Flowers. It was just that it was not as strong as the impatience, so Yu Yang did not sense it. If this was really the case, then wouldn't he be able to get more when he pushed down an An, Princess Sisai, and Shui Wuxia in the future? Most importantly, Yu Yang realized that the devour inherent skill in his body benefited the most from this kind of pure energy. Maybe one day, when a black hole-like devour inherent skill could be controlled by Yu Yang himself, then even if he were to face the extremely powerful Scarlet Emperor or the three great leaders of Heaven Realm, Su Kong and Jiu Shao, who wielded the divine halberd, he believed that there would be a day when they would fall. Previously, although Yu Yang leveled up very slowly after becoming an innate, it was not because Yu Yang was not talented enough, but because he had been reminded by the heavenly sword goddess to build a good innate foundation and perfect everything needed for the innate realm. That was why his leveling speed was so slow. If he did not take the initiative to lower his level and recultivate many times, Yu Yang would have been a level 9 innate long ago. If their strengths were the same, with Yu Yang's innate level 4, he would be able to reach the level of other innate level 9 innate. Yu Yang would definitely choose innate level 4, because there would be more breakthroughs and improvements in the future. As for innate level 9, not to mention anything else, he would at least lack the 5 levels in between after a wonderful night. In his dream, Yu Yang felt that his nose was a little itchy. When he opened his eyes, he realized that Impatience was mischievously using her hair to stroke his cheeks. Pervert, you're still naughty when you're asleep. Impatience had also just woken up. She realized that Yu Yang was still asleep, but his big hands were rubbing her chest nonstop. She immediately got up and used her hair to stroke him. Seeing that he was confused when he woke up, she couldn't help but laugh. Her shoulders shook as she laughed out loud. Not laughing was already charming enough. Once she laughed, her breasts trembled. She was really captivating. No one could compare to her. Looking at her laughing coquettishly, as well as the temptation of her big breasts, Yu Yang realized that his wolf blood was boiling. Just as he was about to push Impatience down and conquer her again, suddenly he saw Impatience leaning down very coquettishly, holding her breasts and feeding them to his lips. Last night doesn't count. Now I'm going to push you down, you little rascal. What fallen flowers couldn't do the first time, I must do it. Are you ready? Rascal, let your little mother dote on you. At some point, the succubus empress ran out again and was using her mouth to serve him, as expected of a powerful race that could easily suck a man dry. Fortunately, it was Yu Yang who had mastered the power of Yang. If it were anyone else, they might not be her opponent and would have been sucked dry. Since the beauty had declared war, how could Yu Yang not accept the challenge? When Impatience appeared in front of everyone, holding onto Yu Yang's arm, everyone realized that her temperament had changed. There was a kind of majesty that was hard to look up to. Her skin was snow white and flawless, with a unique brilliance. She looked like a goddess from the legends. Fourth Mother was the happiest when she saw this. She even corrected Yu Bing's way of addressing her, telling her to call her sister-in-law instead of elder sister. Yu Bing didn't really understand at first. How did elder sister become sister-in-law overnight? She wasn't married? Afterwards, maybe she understood. Her face turned red. She looked at her brother, then looked at Impatience, and secretly nodded her head. Impatience was very happy. She asked the charm demon queen to bring many treasures, gems, and top-grade jewelry to give to everyone as gifts. Everyone had a share. Even the maidservants who served Fourth Mother in Tianluo Palace were rewarded. As for Fourth Mother, Yu Bing, and Yu Shuang, they were given the best. There were also City Mistress Fallen Flowers and Sickly Beauty, who also got top-grade gifts. Now, Impatience didn't care about these things anymore. After being pushed down by Yu Yang and becoming a new female Jizun, she realized that getting a lover who cared for her was the most important thing in her life. That charmed demon queen became a divine beast? You gave her that too? You pervert. City Mistress Fallen Flowers realized that something was wrong and pulled Yu Yang to one side to interrogate. In the end, Yu Yang was fine with being thick-skinned, but she herself blushed. You big pervert, that's a beast. Although it's already a holy beast that has transformed into a human. Isn't that too much? All right, I won't believe you if you say that it's an integration explanation. It must be because of your ridiculous request. Plus, she's the charm demon queen. Sky Law is really too much. Buy one, get one free. This is unfair to me. Scoundrel, the two of them are bullying me. I'll let them win like this. Don't think too much. I really didn't mean for it to be like that. Becoming a divine beast, that wasn't my idea. When she strengthened her body, she was already a divine beast after leveling up. Yu Yang didn't have any ideas about the charm demon queen. He just didn't think that she would be so awesome, even running out to help Impatience. Furthermore, her performance was very good, and her talent was astonishing. She was originally a diamond-ranked level 10 holy beast. It's not strange at all for her to become a divine beast now. Sickly Beauty also didn't think that there was anything wrong with it. Why don't I have a holy beast? City Mistress Fallen Flowers still felt that Impatience's advantage was too great. Skylaw's 2 lumps of meat on her chest were already enough to kill everyone. Now with the addition of the Charm Demon Queen, who was very good at serving people, she was simply much better than herself. Little Fallen Flowers, don't be sad. You also have an advantage that they don't. Before Yu Yang could finish speaking, City Mistress Fallen Flowers lightly hit him with her hand. Don't say it. It will forever be a secret between us. Another 3 days of happiness had passed. The Black Hell King didn't move. He was probably still furiously knocking on the golden barrier of the mysterious palace. On the other hand, Zijin Kingdom gradually gathered their army to the border. Because the logistics of the army were extremely complicated, Elder Yuhai felt that they wouldn't be able to attack without at least a month. There was still time, and when Zijin Kingdom declared war, they also sent a special envoy to deliver a declaration of war, proposing a 3-way battle. First, the battle between innates had nothing to do with normal soldiers. Innates from both sides couldn't intervene in the battle between normal soldiers. They could only fight with equal status. Otherwise, both sides would have the right to take revenge by massacring civilians. Second, the battle between level 6 elders and below lesser innates couldn't participate in the battle between normal soldiers. Third, the battle between normal soldiers and large armies. This was a real battle. The number of casualties was related to the quality of the soldiers, the strategies and tactics of the generals. They could use all kinds of methods to attack, including beasts, puppets, poison, flames, floods, falling stones, and so on. However, other than innate rancors, once an innate rancor appeared, it would cause a large number of soldiers and civilians to die. Even the entire army would be destroyed. Conquering a country didn't mean destroying it. The logistics of the normal soldiers were made up of hundreds of thousands of civilians, maybe even more. Jun Wuyu and Elder Yu Hai agreed to the 3 conditions in Zijin Kingdom's declaration of war. The people of Zijin Kingdom didn't do anything wrong. They were only obeying orders. There was no need to massacre them. As for the battle between innates, they couldn't participate in the massacre of normal soldiers. Among all the innates, only Yu Yang would disregard his status and do such a thing. The reason Zijin Kingdom raised this condition was to target Yu Yang, because other innates wouldn't do such a thing. Of course, this restriction had another advantage for the Black Hell Army. That was because their inborn experts were even stronger. Not mentioning the Black Hell King, any one of the 5 leaders could suppress the Heavenly Imperial Guardians. They even had the help of the Western Lion Pagoda, Shun Tian, and the Black Prince. Zijin Kingdom and the Black Hell King didn't expect that not only did Yu Yang found the great demon King Baruth to form an alliance, he even joined the demonic palace. What was even more unexpected was that he successfully promoted Impatience, Sky Law, to a new female Jizun. Impatience might be the 3rd female innate rancor after Jizun and Night Empress to reach the innate realm. With her by his side, Yu Yang was like a tiger with wings. Black Hell King? The current Yu Yang and Impatience were already confident that they wouldn't lose. With the addition of Night Empress, could he still be arrogant? The only person that Yu Yang was a little worried about was no longer the Black Hell King. It was the Scarlet Emperor. If this guy recovered to his peak strength, then he would be really hard to deal with. Another day passed. Just as Yu Yang was preparing to bring Yu Bing to the 5 Elements Palace to train, the Thief Guild suddenly sent a top-secret letter to Yu Yang. On it was a line of words. The The time is approaching. Come quickly to the 7th floor of Tong Tian Tower, Plaza, Jiangying. Finally, the hornless dragon Jiang Ying sent a top-secret letter. In fact, Yu Yang had been waiting for the past few days because he knew that the time for the Mother Earth potion was approaching. He was waiting for the hornless dragon's letter. Chapter 453. Tong Tian Tower, 7th floor, Plaza. Jiang Ying was still wearing the expensive black dragon leather armor, standing at the corner of the plaza. Her purple hair fluttered in the wind, coupled with her enchanting electric eyes, made the world pale in comparison. Not to mention her peerlessly enchanting little face, just her sexy body wrapped in the black dragon leather armor. Her proud chest, slim waist, and plump buttocks, her wonderful curves, under the contrast of her soft, slender arms and slender legs, were so arousing that it could make one vomit blood. Other than perfect, there was no better word to describe this hornless dragon girl who had both beauty and temperament. Who would have thought that she was the Spider Empress who killed without batting an eye in Spider Valley? Anyone who saw her would think that she was some king's princess. 2 expressionless female guards stood behind her, silently guarding the surroundings. If an ordinary person saw these 2 female guards, they would think that they were ordinary level 6 elders. In fact, their real bodies were platinum-ranked level 7 Spider Empress. They had already successfully transformed into human form and lacked a little intelligence. It could be said that they were only one step away from becoming a holy beast. Usually, the Spider Empress that mercenaries saw in Spider Valley was either one of them and not Jiangying. Jiangying, who was an innate level 7, looked down on ordinary mercenaries. Her biggest wish was not to level up, but to become a divine beast. Over here, why are you dressed like this? Hornless dragon Jiangying was stunned when she saw Yu Yang's attire. Because Yu Yang had used a magic crystal to make a pair of sunglasses and had a mustache on his lips, it was hard to recognize him at first glance. Other than intentionally concealing his presence, Yu Yang also wore the embroidered robes that Tianluo nobles usually wore. He didn't wear the wyvern leather armor like he usually did. He didn't look like a warrior, but more like a merchant. The current him would definitely not be recognized if he was not familiar with him. The Black Hell Army had many eyes and ears in Tong Tian Tower. Yu Yang dressed like this to reduce trouble, because once someone recognized him as Yu Clan's 3rd young master, even if the Black Hell Army did not surround and kill him, they would be suspicious of his actions and might even follow him. Of course, Yu Yang would not do such a thing that would cause unnecessary trouble. All right, we can disguise ourselves as wealthy merchants and go to Fire Island to participate in the annual underwater treasure auction. Fire Island is under the control of the Ocean Emperor. We cannot attract his attention. Jiang Ying's pale green eyes turned and immediately came up with an idea. Yu Yang, on the other hand, was confused. Why would they go to Fire Island to look for the Mother Earth potion? Yu Yang had also heard of the Sea Emperor. He was one of the top 10 rankers of Tong Tian Tower's 9th floor, or even the top 5 rankers. If it was said that the supreme martial artist of the human race was unquestionably the number 1 that no one could surpass, then there wasn't much of a difference between the other few. The Dragon Emperor, who was ranked 2nd, might be able to slightly surpass them. After all, he was the emperor of the Eastern Goblin Tribe. The Eastern Goblin Tribe was not an ordinary tribe that could be compared to. Even the most powerful Demon Abyss did not dare to boast that they could suppress the Eastern Goblin Tribe. If it wasn't for the fact that the Eastern Goblin Tribe liked to fight amongst themselves, causing the tribe to be constantly divided and unable to unite as one. If they were as obedient as the Demon Abyss or as united as the Elves, they would definitely be the strongest tribe in the entire Tong Tian Tower. The Dragon Emperor was ranked 2nd, and there wasn't much controversy. However, it was hard to tell who was ranked 3rd. The 3 emperors behind were Sky Emperor, Ocean Emperor, and Emperor of the Underworld. None of them were willing to submit to the other. Although they did not fight officially, their strength was close to each other, and the forces they possessed were not much different. The Ocean Emperor's name was Guan Lan, and he was from the Deep Sea clan. He owned boundless seas in Tong Tian Tower's 7th, 8th, and 9th floor. He had conquered almost all the underwater forces. In terms of numbers, he had more troops than the great demon king Baruth. His troops numbered in the hundreds of millions, and he was invincible in both sea and water battles. The only shortcoming was that he could only expand his forces in the sea and on islands. In an official land battle, the Ocean Emperor's subordinates could not challenge the Dragon Emperor, Sky Emperor, and Emperor of the Underworld. It could be said that he was the most oppressed among the 5 emperors. He obviously had great strength, but could not display it. Among the many territories of the Ocean Emperor, Fire Island was just a grain of sand on the coast. Could it be that the Mother Earth potion was on Fire Island? Seeing the doubt in Yu Yang's eyes, Jiang Ying waved her hands and sent a telepathic message to Yu Yang. No, Fire Island is just a transitional place. The place we are really going to is the Deep Abyss Trench. In the Deep Abyss Trench, there is an ancient teleportation circle. That is the only entrance to the Graveyard of the Sea. After passing through the Graveyard of the Sea, there are 5 whirlpools at the end. One of them can teleport to the Crystal Canyon at the bottom of the sea. The Mother Earth potion will be born in the Crystal Canyon. We still have 3 days, but we have to pass the first hurdle, which is to reach Fire Island and find a chance to sneak into the Deep Abyss Trench. That place has always been a restricted area designated by the Ocean Emperor. The teleportation circle has been sealed, so it is impossible for us to enter. We have to reach Fire Island. That is the first crucial step. So troublesome. Yu Yang sweated profusely. It seemed that the Mother Earth potion was not easy to obtain. Luckily, no one knew about it, or else it would be more troublesome. The worst thing was that the seabed belonged to the Ocean Emperor. Luckily, this was the 7th floor of Tong Tian Tower. If it was the 9th floor, it would be over. The Ocean Emperor would definitely be suspicious. In the 7th floor of Tong Tian Tower, the Ocean Emperor would probably not visit Fire Island in 10 years, so it was barely safe. Jiang Ying rolled her eyes at Yu Yang. Stupid. If it was not so well hidden, they would have found it long ago. If I could obtain it just by walking over, why would I cooperate with you? Let's not talk about the deep-sea beasts in the Deep Abyss Trench, or the terrifying monsters in the Graveyard of the Sea. Let's just talk about the Crystal Canyon. There are 100 ancient guards there, and every one of them is Platinum rank level 10. Furthermore, all of them share the same life and can absorb energy from the crystals to replenish their damaged bodies. In the Crystal Canyon, they are basically invincible. Yu Yang was even more sweating. Girl, why didn't you tell me earlier about such a difficult task? I would have brought more helpers. No matter how many helpers you bring, only 5 people can enter that place at most, including beasts. When Jiang Ying said this, Yu Yang fell to the ground. All right, for the Mother Earth potion, I will go all out. Yu Yang felt that if it was easy to obtain, it would not be a good thing. Would the wisdom fruit grow on the fruit trees on the streets? That was impossible. Similarly, it was impossible for the Mother Earth potion to be born in an ordinary mountain. Even if the Crystal Canyon was a tiger's den, no matter how difficult it was, Yu Yang decided to take it down. With the Mother Earth potion, it was highly possible for him to break through to a new realm and level up again. To the current Yu Yang, time was a little tight because the Scarlet Emperor could recover in a year and a half, and the Black Hell King had not been defeated yet. It would be dangerous if he did not quickly level up now. Moreover, the Mother Earth potion was a once-in-10,000 years opportunity. If he gave it up so easily, he would be the world's #1 idiot. 10 minutes later, Fire Island. Just as Yu Yang and Jiang Ying teleported over, they heard a sweet female voice welcoming them. Welcome to Fire Island. We await your arrival. If you need a guide, please let us know. Hai Yingwu is willing to provide you with the most sincere and free service. A beauty wearing a bikini-style swimsuit walked out from her companions and bowed to Yu Yang and Jiang Ying. She had a head of mesmerizing blonde hair, blue eyes as deep as the sea, sexy lips, plump and moist like 2 juicy peaches, making people want to take a bite. Her tanned and tan body looked exceptionally healthy, full of vitality. Her plump breasts protruded exaggeratedly. They were incomparably huge and were covered by 2 small scallops. There was a small piece of seaweed that looked like it could break at any time, holding onto this pair of big coconuts. Yu Yang's gaze moved downwards. and he could see that the clothes below were just a piece of seaweed in the shape of a leaf. Although it covered her private parts, it couldn't hide its bulging and full shape. He could even vaguely see a slightly concave groove, which gave a strong visual impact and was extremely tempting. The girl who called herself Hyingwoo did not care about Yu Yang's gaze at all. She even held her head high and chest out proudly. She walked in front and led the way. Her perfectly round and firm buttocks were completely exposed. The thread-like piece of seaweed between her buttocks made one's blood boil. He believed that with a light touch, it would break. That kind of fatal temptation was like a bug biting the heart. It was unbearably itchy. Other than impotent men, normal people would want to reach out their evil hands. Don't be so useless. This is the specialty of Fire Island. There might not be a lot of other things here, but there are women everywhere. Don't stop walking when you see a woman. If you go to a nude beach where all the women are naked, what would happen? When Jiang Ying saw Yu Yang's lecherous expression, she couldn't help but pinch him in the dark. Actually, she had misunderstood Yu Yang this time. No matter how perverted Yu Yang was, he would not divert his attention to flirt with girls at such an important time. Furthermore, there was the hornless dragon who was N times more beautiful by his side. Why would Yu Yang give up what was close at hand for what was far away? On the contrary, Yu Yang did not like women like Hai Ying-woo, whose body was similar to that of a Western horse. Although Western horses were voluptuous and had plump breasts and buttocks, their skin was not delicate enough. Their pores were larger, and they did not have that kind of fragrant white jade-like texture. Looking at them from afar would be breathtaking, but looking closely, one would be disappointed. What Yu Yang liked were women that were made of water. He did not really appreciate Western horses with large bone frames and distinct contours. The reason why he kept looking at her lecherously was so that he could disguise his identity as a rich merchant. Fatty Toe Jiao was here. How could he not look at Hai Ying-woo? Those who cannot be tempted were probably rankers with extremely strong willpower and above. How could the people of Fire Island not pay special attention to such an abnormal guest? On the contrary, his lecherous look made the other party feel at ease, as if he was not a big shot and was just a lecherous small character. Furthermore, Yu Yang's purposeful look just now was mainly to use his divine vision to observe the other party's characteristics. Although Hai Ying-woo looked like a normal level 6 elder on the surface, she was actually a lesser innate and had hidden her battle power very well. If one looked down on her, she would probably eat them up in one bite. The Sea Parrot clan that lived in the shallow sea, no matter if it was the Parrotfish clan or the Nautilus clan, they all ate meat. He did not know what clan this Hai Ying-woo belonged to, but Yu Yang was 100% sure that she was the legendary sea demon killer personally trained by the Ocean Emperor. She was a beautiful spy who specialized in spying for information. Maybe because she saw that Jiang Ying was different from the others, she specially came forward to be the guide to welcome the guests. For esteemed guests, where do you want to go? We have the beautiful Volcano Island bathing pool. Not only is it famous for its hot springs, the volcanic mud bath that can whiten the skin is our specialty. We also have 10 miles of Silver Beach, where you can ride the wind and wave. It is the most enjoyable sport in life. Of course, how can we miss out on our coral reef, the most famous coral reef in the entire 7th floor of Tong Tian Tower? Diving there is one of the activities that all esteemed guests must experience. If you want to play, we have a luxurious gambling boat. If you want to bask in the sun, we have a natural beach filled with golden sand and gentle sea breeze. If you want to rest, we have the most comfortable starfish hotel, comparable to a king's palace. Hai Ying-woo introduced the tourist attractions of Fire Island to Yu Yang and Jiang Ying in a charming voice. At the same time, she secretly guessed the identity of Yu Yang and Jiang Ying. Bring us to the precious Bao Pavilion. We want to see what good things the auction house has. Jiang Ying spoke. Her current identity was a princess, Yu Yang. Sorry, but he was only a butler in charge of finances. Yes, esteemed guests, please follow me this way. We have a special lobster speedboat here, please. Hai Ying-woo's voice was very respectful. When she bowed, she frowned slightly. She instinctively felt that these 4 guests were strange. The 2 female guards were normal, and the man was all right. Even if he hid his strength, he was at most below a lesser innate. His willpower could not resist her temptation, so he could not be an innate ranker. However, the woman was very powerful. Even if she hid her strength, she could feel that she was above innate. A female and born expert who seemed to have a particularly noble identity. Why did she choose to come to the Fire Island at this time of all times? Could it be that she was here for the treasure? Suspicious. They sat on the lobster speedboat and rode the wind and waves. Hai Ying-Wu introduced along the way. As she spoke, she secretly observed Yu Yang, Jiang Ying, and the others. The more she looked, the more confused she became. After introducing for a few minutes, Hai Ying-Wu suddenly brought up a new topic. Recently, we discovered an ancient sunken ship near the deep Abyss Trench. That place has already become a paradise for divers. It is said that someone found an ancient treasure inside, but because it was not made public, we are not sure what the treasure is. I am not very interested in diving, but I like to soak in hot springs and bask in the sun. Yu Yang looked at Hai Ying-Wu's big breasts lecherously. Is that so? Then you must try it. Hai Ying-Wu faced the sea breeze, letting the sea breeze blow her long golden hair. She also deliberately swayed her body along with the slightly swaying lobster speedboat. Even though she could stay still, in order to entice Yu Yang, she used the breast swaying technique, causing the boat to shake and the waves to surge. Wow, this wave is really big. Yu Yang sneaked a glance at Jiang Ying, as if he was worried about her identity. But very quickly, when Jiang Ying was not paying attention, he reached out and pinched Hai Ying-Wu's plump butt. Hai Ying-Wu immediately pretended to be shy. Her acting was at the level of a movie queen. Jiang Ying was angry and amused at the same time. Now she finally understood that this brat did it on purpose. To think that she was worried that he would be smitten. At the precious treasure pavilion, Hai Ying-Wu's tour had ended, but Yu Yang stuffed a few gold coins into her hands and continued to hire her as a tour guide. Jiang Ying did not object. She was still bewildered. Hai Ying-Wu's words just now were a kind of hint. She was trying to test if she and Yu Yang wanted to go to the Abyss Ocean Trench. Could it be that the secret of the Mother Earth potion that was only known to him had already been known to the Ocean Emperor? Just now, Jiang Ying and Yu Yang were secretly shocked, but they did not show it on their faces. They continued to hire Hai Ying-Wu and see if they could spy on her and dig out more secrets. The Mother Earth potion must not be lost. Whether the Ocean Emperor knew about this secret or not, Yu Yang and Jiang Ying must definitely take it away. Chapter 454. Precious Treasure Pavilion. There were all kinds of treasures being auctioned here. Beast eggs, exotic flowers and fruits, gold-ranked armors, pearls, red stones, black diamonds, all kinds of luxury goods, famous paintings, antique jades, fur, skin, teeth, claws, and all kinds of rare items. There were also countless female slaves and slaves. Every day, there were 4 hours of auctions, 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. The rest of the time was for the VIPs to rest or to observe in private. Not far from the Precious Treasure Pavilion was the most luxurious Starfish Hotel. It was said that any of the waitresses there were 1 in 10,000 beauties. If they had enough rest, they could sit on the lobster speedboat and play a few rounds on the gambling ship. The bets ranged from 1 gold coin to 10,000 gold coins. There was no lack of opponents on the gambling ship. In fact, half of the income of the entire Fire Island came from this huge gambling ship that would never move. Yu Yang and Jiang Ying stayed here for half an hour and participated in the auction of more than 10 items. As for Yu Yang, other than the wisdom fruit, he did not look at anything else. Many of the items looked like rubbish now. He already had a dragon corpse. Why would he want the flying dragon's tooth, flame lion's claw, wind leopard's tail? Yu Yang did not lack raw materials. What he lacked were holy ranked and divine ranked weapons. Jiang Ying was almost the same. She had almost no interest in the auction items, but when she saw some useless pet eggs, she would raise her paddle and bid a few times, pretending to be a princess who liked small animals. Hai Ying-Wu saw that these two people were not paying attention at all. Needless to say, the guy was a pervert who would peek at beauties at any time. He was even more lustful than those prisoners who had been locked up for more than 10 years who would act on seeing a sow. She had already crossed this guy off the list of dangerous people because she felt that his existence was completely dispensable. Other than being responsible for guarding the princess' purse, this guy had no other good points. Originally, Hai Ying-Wu wanted to find 2 sisters for this guy to play with and get some information from him. But now it seemed that giving them away would be a waste of his time. It was not worth it. He looked like he knew nothing. Other than women, what else was in his mind? He was a pighead pervert. Hai Ying-Wu evaluated Yu Yang in her heart. However, towards Yu Yang's perverted hands, not only did she not reject him, she even showed a brilliant smile on her face. In reality, she hated him to death. Beautiful Princess Ying, today's auction has ended. May I ask if you would like to dive in the sea or soak in a hot spring? Hai Ying-Wu completely ignored Yu Yang and asked. She was just testing him. If Jiang Ying said that she wanted to dive, then she would bring Jiang Ying to the deep sea trench to probe further. Unfortunately, after receiving Yu Yang's hint, Jiang Ying already knew that Hai Ying-Wu was a beautiful spy and did not fall for it. Moreover, even if she did not know, Jiang Ying would not have suggested diving into the deep sea trench. Wouldn't that be telling the other party that she came with a purpose? I'm tired. Let's stay at Starfish. Help me find a map of the entire island. I will consider going out to play when I have time. Jiang Ying already had a map, but she set it on purpose to see Hai Ying-Wu's reaction. Sure enough, deep in Hai Ying-Wu's eyes, there was a slight peculiarity. However, on the surface, she nodded respectfully and replied, "Yes, beautiful Princess Ying, as you wish. Your Highness, I am not very tired. I want to go out for a walk and enjoy the sea breeze." Yu Yang suddenly requested Jiang Ying, "Go. Don't ask me if you can't do anything. Just stand in front of me when the auction starts tomorrow." Hai Ying-Wu sharply captured Jiang Ying's reaction and expression. That was a casual wave of her hand. From this reaction, Hai Ying-Wu completely understood. This housekeeper was just a cover. The one who would really take action was this beautiful Princess Ying. As for this lecherous man, he was just a target to attract people's attention. Because this lecherous man was so lecherous, he would attract attention. Once he successfully attracted attention, this beautiful Princess Ying would secretly take action. She was 80% sure that this Princess Ying was here for the treasure in the deep sea trench. Out of caution, Hai Ying-Wu also found 2 people to follow behind Yu Yang, intentionally or unintentionally. They wanted to see if he was going out to scout for information or make contact with someone. About 2 hours later, the 2 people who were following returned with a pained expression. It was as if Hai Ying-Wu asked them to follow Yu Yang again. They should just jump into the sea and commit suicide. Hai Ying-Wu felt strange and asked, "What exactly happened? We have never seen such a lecherous man in our lives. He simply doesn't know how to walk when he sees a woman. Moreover, he is reckless. Whenever he sees a woman, he doesn't care if she has a man or what her background is. He still dares to flirt with her. Luckily, we helped him explain that he is mentally ill and his brain is not normal. Otherwise, people might have beaten him to death. Luckily, he doesn't know the way to the celestial beach. Otherwise, he would definitely be thrown into the sea to feed the sharks. Otherwise, he would be hung up to dry in the sun. To be honest, us sisters have never seen such a lousy man in our lives." When the 2 maids mentioned Yu Yang, they gritted their teeth in hatred. It seemed like they really wanted to eat Yu Yang's flesh raw. Forget it. He is just a pawn being used by others. He doesn't even know when he is about to die. Hai Ying-Wu laughed coldly. Do we still follow him? I would rather be crushed by an 800 kilograms fatty than be his scapegoat. He is born to be a troublemaker. It is too uncomfortable to be the scapegoat for such a lousy scum. One of the maids rejected frantically. Why don't we just dig a hole and bury him? This kind of person gets more and more unpleasant the more we look at him, another maid suggested. No, on the contrary, not only can we not touch him, we even let him roam around to show that we are not wary of Princess Ying and her people. As for getting into trouble, we don't care. I believe that Princess Ying knows what kind of person her butler is. Maybe he is not even Princess Ying's butler, but a hired fellow. His strength is not strong. probably only a level 7 overlord. At first I thought that he was hiding his strength, but now it seems like he is just a pawn that Princess Ing found at the last minute. Our true enemy is that beautiful Princess Ing. The feeling she gives me is that she is very strong. She is definitely an innate. Gather all the sisters and have them take turns to be on duty. You must monitor her every move at all times. However, it is best to pretend that you are working so that she does not notice. I have followed her for too long. If I follow her closely, I will definitely arouse her suspicions. I can only appear when she is hiring me. Hai Yingwu paused for a while, then waved her hand and ordered, "You guys report to Shark King. Say that there is such a princess incoming. Describe her appearance, and see who she is. As for that wretched guy, there is no need to say anything. Just ignore him. After a few days, he will become fish food." Just like that, Yu Yong wandered around freely. He whistled along the way and flirted with all the beauties he met. He used the strength of a level 7 overlord to fight those he could win and run away if he couldn't. Hai Yingwu kept receiving reports and was completely speechless towards this kind of person. Luckily, this kind of fellow was not rare. On Fire Island, because of its reputation for beauties, there were often these kinds of perverts who came here to sniff fish. However, they all ended up in the stomach of the fishes. For the time being, if she killed him now, that Princess Ing would immediately be alerted. Princess Ing probably purposely found such a person to pretend to be her butler. The relationship between them was not like a master-servant relationship at all. It was more like a temporary hire. This was because he lacked respect towards her and was not familiar with her. How could a butler not take care of the princess' daily life and food, but instead let the princess take care of everything herself? Night came. Hai Yingwu heard Princess Ing scolding the butler who did not return for a long time. "You are not back even after 12 o'clock. Look at you. Do you even look like a butler?" She then heard the pervert explain in a wronged manner. "Didn't you say that it would be fine if I returned before the auction tomorrow?" "All right, I was wrong. I will definitely work hard tomorrow." "All right, I will get out. Good night, princess." How could there be such a butler? Hearing this, Hai Yingwu felt that there was no need to probe into their master-servant relationship anymore. It was definitely not. In other words, there was no need to care about that pervert, because he was just a temporary hire scum. He was a target that attracted attention. In less than 10 minutes, Hai Yingwu heard her sisters report that the pervert made a move again. He tiptoed out of the room, went downstairs, and went to the Nightless Club for a drink. Hai Yingwu laughed coldly and waved her hand. "Don't care about him. You guys will completely ignore this person from now on. Focus on Princess Ying's room. Whenever she leaves, immediately report to me." After drinking for an hour on the Nightless Club's luxurious flower boat, Yu Yong staggered to the side of the boat and burped with the smell of alcohol. As he walked, he drank wine. Along the way, the guests all avoided these drunkards. One of the crew members took a look and realized that it was the scum that the higher-ups said could be ignored, so he shrunk back. There was no one on the side of the boat, and the sea wind was strong. Yu Yong staggered and fell. Maybe he heard the sound of water, so the crew member came out to take a look. When he realized that the person who fell was the drunken scum, he shrugged his shoulders. "I didn't see or hear anything. The world is so quiet." About an hour later, Yu Yong swam like a fish through dozens of underwater cordons and passed through dozens of Murloc sentry posts. In the blind spot, he slowly slid past. He was 100 times more agile than a fish. From the Nightless Club's luxurious flower boat, he swam past the 10-mile silver beach, the natural sand beach, the volcanic island, and the ringed coral reef, and arrived at the deep sea trench where thousands of Murlocs were patrolling. It was almost impossible for a normal person to swim here, but for Yu Yong, who had the tidal pearl and could breathe underwater, it was not impossible. After swimming to a blind spot in the deep sea trench, Yu Yong quickly summoned his grimoire and released the hornless dragon Jiang Ying, who was placed in the grimoire world in the hotel. He purposely quarreled with her to confuse the outside world. With Yu Yong and Jiang Ying's strength, how could they not know that Hai Yingwu was eavesdropping from afar? "How we go? I have explored the land, but I have to rely on you to explore the water." "All right, are you good at swimming?" Yu Yang suddenly remembered that his tidal pearl could only be used 3 times to breathe underwater. If the hornless dragon did not hold her breath long enough to explore, then he would have to waste one more time. Idiot! Have you seen a hornless dragon that can't swim? Jiang Ying laughed. Her swimming skills were more than 10 times better than Yu Yang's. Her movements were 100 times better. Jiang Ying, the hornless dragon swimming, was a breathtaking performance of art. She was born to live in the water. Once she entered the water, her strength would be many times stronger than on land. Chapter 455. Yu Yang followed the graceful hornless dragon and swam for another half an hour. Along the way, they avoided the hunting deep-sea beasts. To normal warriors, the strong and huge deep-sea beasts were almost invincible. To Yu Yang and the hornless dragon, they were not much of a threat. The only troublesome thing was that they were afraid of alerting the Ocean Emperor when killing them, so they decided to avoid them. Finally, Jiang Ying stopped at a cliff at the bottom of the sea. In front of them, they found an inconspicuous entrance to a small stone cave. Anyone who saw it would think it was the home of a deep-sea electric eel or the nest of a deep-sea octopus. The hornless dragon spat out a string of bubbles and sent a message to Yu Yang. It's here. There's a very big cave inside and an ancient teleportation circle. We will go in and check it out today. If the Ocean Emperor has already discovered the secret of the Mother Earth potion, then we will not come out. We will hide and snatch it 2 days later. I hope he has not found out yet, or else we will be in trouble. Maybe there is another treasure in the deep-sea trench. If it is the Mother Earth potion, the Ocean Emperor would be stupid to reveal it. Yu Yang did not agree with her deduction. That's true. So many treasure hunters came to Fire Island. The Ocean Emperor would not reveal that there is a treasure in his house. Maybe it is really such a coincidence that there is another treasure in the deep-sea trench. Or maybe it is the Ocean Emperor's propaganda, purposely saying this to attract more people to Fire Island. But for us, this situation is not good. That Hai Yingwu is already on guard and has started to pay attention to me. Luckily, you thought of such a good idea to bring me out, or else I would have been trapped up there for another 2 days. The hornless dragon said as she led the way and swam into the small stone cave. At first, it was very narrow and deep. The stone cave passage was a few kilometers long and curved like an intestine. At the end, there was a round cave. It seemed like fish creatures used to live here, but had been abandoned. Jiang Ying searched carefully and found a trace of an entrance under a huge black rock. The huge rock weighed hundreds of thousands of pounds. With it blocking the way, there was no way to move and no way to enter. Of course, this was only a problem for ordinary people, not inborn experts. Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying and Yu Yang determined the location and used short-distance teleportation to enter successfully. Only after entering did he realize that there was a cave within a cave. It was truly a secret. Although this was Inferno Island and it belonged to the Sea Monarchs faction, no one discovered this place despite countless prawn soldiers and crab generals patrolling. About 2 kilometers ahead, there was another large cave. On the stone walls of the cave, there was an ancient teleportation formation that had existed for an unknown period of time. The walls were glowing faintly. This was the only entrance to the Graveyard of the Sea. The Graveyard of the Sea was originally a subspace area connected to the Tong Tian Tower. It was called the Jade Water Palace. This was because a large-scale sea war had erupted in ancient times. At least 108 rankers and 100,000 ships were buried here. The entire space had collapsed because of the war. The island and all the buildings had sunk to the bottom of the sea. All life had been wiped out, and the connection with Tong Tian Tower had been lost. Therefore, in historical records, people called this place the Graveyard of the Sea. No one knew that there was still an ancient teleportation formation that led to the Graveyard of the Sea in the deep sea trench of Fire Island. Oh my God, this is really a graveyard. After teleporting in, Jiang Ying found that the sky was dark. The vast sea was like a pool of stagnant water, without any waves, not even a ripple. There were also no islands or human buildings. Instead, she could see a few huge and broken ships. They were either upside down or upside down or upside down, stuck diagonally across the surface of the sea. They were incomparably broken, showing the tragic scene of the great naval battle in the past. There did not seem to be any living things here. The atmosphere was lifeless, eerie, and terrifying. We have to be careful. My grandfather said that this is not only a graveyard, but also a slaughterhouse. During the Great Sea War, some super strong beasts did not die in the collapse of the space. They hid under the sea to take refuge and later became monsters. My grandfather came here and experienced a fierce battle. Almost all of his companions died. Jiang Ying was not strong enough in the past. She had only gone to the stone cave in the deep sea trench to confirm the entrance. She had never actually entered the graveyard of the sea and did not know how strong the deep sea monsters here were. However, she knew that although a few hundred years had passed since her grandfather's exploration, the deep sea monsters definitely did not die out. They were still hiding somewhere, waiting for an opportunity to attack. If Yang did not enter the Prison Emperor Divine Palace, he would not be able to guess the reason why the deep sea monsters could survive from the ancient times until now. However, after the battle in the Prison Emperor Divine Palace, he already knew a secret. When the space collapsed, all the living beings inside were supposed to die. When the Prison Emperor forcefully sealed the Prison Emperor Divine Palace, the space also collapsed. However, only a small number of Heaven Realm rankers from the Prison Emperor Divine Palace died. The reason was that they used a very shameless secret technique to fuse their bodies with their beasts. They relied on the characteristics of their beasts to survive. In the Graveyard of the Sea, they probably used this shameless secret technique too. Rather than saying that they were deep-sea monsters, it would be more accurate to say that those fellows were innate rankers who died in the battle back then. In order to preserve their lives, they fused with their beasts and turned into monsters. In the end, they managed to survive. There was no ripple on the surface of the sea. It was dead silent. It was as calm as a mirror. However, Yu Yang felt a murderous intent erupting from the bottom of his feet. He reacted quickly and hugged Jiang Ying as he shot towards the sky, the soles of his feet almost at the same instant. A fish-shaped monster that was more than 10 meters long rushed out of the water. It opened its huge mouth and fiercely chased after Yu Yang and Jiang Ying. Its speed of rising was extremely fast. It split open the surface of the sea and chased after them like a huge shark coming out of the water. There were hundreds of densely packed, sharp teeth in that terrifying mouth. Furthermore, each of them was more than a foot long. If they were to be bitten by it, the consequences would be unimaginable. They might even end up in the fish's stomach in the future. Jiang Ying was shocked. She did not expect such a terrifying, murderous intent to be hidden in the dead silence. If it was not for Yu Yang's fast reaction, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. Seeing that the deep-sea monster was chasing after them, Jiang Ying snorted coldly. An extremely dazzling light condensed on her hand and instantly turned into a huge dragon head. It shot down angrily like an arrow towards the deep-sea monster to devour it. A red light flashed in the deep-sea monster's eyes. It was intimidated by this extremely powerful light beam. Its huge mouth opened and spat out a column of water in an attempt to resist the huge dragon's devour. The huge body that was leaping in the air immediately turned around and shot toward the surface of the sea. Its sensitivity was simply unimaginable. Rumble. A loud sound exploded on the surface of the sea. The shockwaves stirred up huge waves that were hundreds of meters high. A gust of wind swept across the calm surface of the sea. Huge circular ripples appeared on the surface of the sea and spread rapidly. I hit it, but it seems to be unharmed. Hornless Dragon, Jiang Ying frowned. Her Hornless Dragon Devour was extremely powerful. Anyone below innate level 3 would definitely be killed in an instant. She did not expect that the deep-sea monster to be unharmed after hitting it head-on. Actually, that is not a monster at all. It is an innate rancor for back then. He took over the body of a fish-shaped beast and fused it into one. I did not know how strong this guy was before, but now he has at least the strength of an innate level 6. Furthermore, He has a very strong body. Don't be discouraged. Actually, your attack just now had already injured him. However, the injury is very light and his body recovers very quickly. Yu Yang used his Heaven Eyes divine vision to observe and found that his previous judgment was correct. This monster was really like Nge. He was originally an innate rancor and had turned into a hybrid mutated beast. After becoming a hybrid mutated beast, one's strength would usually be greatly reduced. This guy was no exception. Now, this monster still had the strength of an innate level 6. From this, it could be seen how strong his original strength was. He was probably at least innate level 8 or even a higher level supreme innate. No wonder his reaction was so fast. Once he saw that something was wrong, he could immediately escape back into the sea. Not good. The shock wave just now shocked the entire sea. Jiang Ying found that after this collision, the shock wave had spread so far that it reached the horizon. Furthermore, the sound that broke the silence was especially ear-piercing. Not to mention the rancors with sharp ears and eyes. Even the slow island whale and mountain tortoise would probably wake up from their deep slumber. Let's take a look first. Don't panic. Yu Yang also found that the sea was a little strange. There were auras of rancors waking up everywhere. Or perhaps these guys were not in deep slumber at all. They were even lying in ambush nearby. Once there was a strange movement, they would wake up immediately. 1, 2, 3 black shadows of various shapes and sizes appeared one by one on the surface of the water. There were fish-shaped, beast-shaped monsters that did not look like anything at all. Some were as big as a hill, some were as small as a human. There was even one that looked like a giant ship. It seemed like a lifeless robot, yet also seemed like it was alive. When they found Yu Yang and Jiang Ying floating in the air, they all swam towards them and surrounded them. The fish-shaped monster that had launched a sneak attack and exchanged a blow with Jiang Ying also floated up. It spat out a mouthful of blood and spoke in human language. Haha, I have long expected that when the Mother Earth potion is born, those dead survivors will definitely not miss it and will definitely come again to snatch it. These two are probably the descendants of the dead leftovers. They are afraid of death, so they first sent these two brats to explore the way. This chick is really not bad. Boss, give this chick to me. I like this kind of chick with a little spicy taste the most. Even if I give her to you, can you use her? Why don't you take a look at what you have become? You have already turned into a shark, and you still want women? You will have a share of female sharks. The other half-human, half-sea snake guy laughed coldly. Sue, what nonsense are you talking about? I have turned into a shark. How much better are you than me? As long as we can get out, I naturally have a way to return to my human form. As for you, you look neither human nor snake. You are doomed for life. Boss, I will not get a share of the Mother Earth potion, but this girl belongs to me. The shark man was smart. He knew that he would not get a share of the Mother Earth potion, so he might as well ask for a woman instead. Neo, I'm not sure about this. Maybe this little boy has a different opinion. There was a man who was the closest to a human. He had a human upper body and an octopus lower body. He looked like the leader of the monsters. He held a shining, sacred halberd in his hand and stood at the front of the group. He kept looking at Yu Yang, as if he knew that he was the real enemy. When the shark man said he wanted a woman, he paid special attention to Yu Yang's expression. In the end, he laughed and refuted the sharkman's words. He then said to Yu Yang, "This little human boy, you seem to have something to say?" When Yu Yang heard this, he suddenly laughed. His eyes were full of mockery. He glanced at the shark man called Neo and said, "I will only say one thing. If you want to touch my woman, I will kill you." The hornless dragon Jiang Ying's face turned red. Although she knew that she was not Yu Yang's woman, but when she heard him defending her so firmly, she could not help but feel her heart beating like a deer. She originally wanted to deny it, but she forgot for a moment. Only shyness could be seen on her face. Chapter 456. Ha ha, ha ha ha. Close to 30 monsters laughed. They only felt that Yu Yang's words were funny and not a threat. What was the point of saying that in front of dozens of strong enemies? Kill without mercy? This wasn't a child playing with sand. Even if Sharkman Neo wasn't the strongest among the group of mutated humans, killing him in the sea was easier said than done. The underwater was the domain of the mutated humans, and it was because of this huge advantage that the mutated humans survived the collapse of the space. A young human wanted to kill a mutated fishman in the water, and a Sharkman who had the greatest advantage in the sea. Was that even possible? Sharkman Neo laughed so hard that tears almost came out of his eyes. He used his tail and vigorously slapped the water. He laughed out loud as he provoked Yu Yang. "Haha, little brat, do you think that this is your backyard? Don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have a family to protect you. How old are you this year? Didn't you wet your bed last year? Now you want to show off in front of a woman. Do you have a strength? Do you know what a water battle is? All right, come on. Aren't you very cocky? Come and kill me. Just you, and you want to kill me. Don't make me laugh to death. This is the funniest joke I've heard in 4,000 years. Ahaha, I'm dying of laughter." That octopus man boss frowned when he heard that. He felt that Yu Yang wasn't simple. If he was a normal hedonistic son, he wouldn't dare to speak so arrogantly in front of so many enemies. What made him feel the most uncomfortable was that this young human, although he looked harmless on the surface, had an inexplicable killing intent. It was very strange and unpredictable. He could conclude that this young human's hidden strength was much stronger than he imagined. Although the battle hadn't started, Octopus Man Boss already felt that something was wrong. But he decided not to stop the situation. If he could use this to understand his opponent and not hurt himself, why not? "Whale Zhang, why aren't you laughing?" Among the mutated humans, an ugly fishman that looked like a mud skipper turned to ask the largest of his companions. "That's not funny at all." The whale-like shadow replied in a humming voice. "Well, I forgot that you have no sense of humor at all." "That's right, Gale. What do you mean by that expression? Don't tell me you really think that Sharkman Neo can't beat that brat?" Mudskipper Man asked Swordfish Man on the other side. "Let's bet. I'll bet 100 deep sea gems." That Swordfish Man was probably a killer in the past. He had been silent all along, but the moment he opened his mouth, he hit the nail on the head. His words were extremely concise. The Mudskipper Man was stunned. "Do you bet on the young human?" "I won't bet with you if you bet on him losing. You can only bet on him winning." The Swordfish Man sneered. "Only a fool would bet on him losing." Mudskipper Man was enraged. His face turned red, and the huge black spots on his face turned purplish red. He shouted, "Fine, if I win, I'll take your precious bottle of red sand." The Swordfish Man nodded in agreement. He snorted lightly. His expression was calm when he won. This made the Mudskipper Man mad. While they were talking, Yu Yang had already whispered a few words to Jiang Ying and instructed her to do so, and so on. Jiang Ying nodded in agreement. Now, she had unknowingly changed. She, who was originally very opinionated, now listened to Yu Yang's arrangements and unknowingly relied on him. Jiang Ying raised her aura. The hybrid fishmen saw her strength suddenly rise from a low level innate to a level 5 innate. It seemed like there was still a lot of room for improvement. They could not help but shiver. At first, they thought that Jiang Ying would join forces with Yu Yang to attack Sharkman Neo. Unexpectedly, Jiang Ying did not even make a move. Instead, she floated higher into the sky and withdrew from the battlefield. This was Yu Yang's order, because the hybrid fishmen definitely had the upper hand on the surface of the sea and under the sea. However, in the sky, they were at a disadvantage. If Jiang Ying could protect herself, Yu Yang could then fight with peace of mind. Not only did he want to fight, he also wanted to give these hybrid fishmen a show of strength. Since they all knew about the Mother Earth potion, then it was very simple. Let their fists do the talking. The strongest could have the final loot. As for the arrogant Sharkman Neo, he was the first sacrifice that Yu Yang used as an example to warn the others. The level 6 innate Sharkman Neo was not even comparable to the level 6 Sky Dragon. Even though he had the advantage of being under the sea, to Yu Yang, fighting on the water was not the biggest problem. Little One Li, Stone Element Medusa, Storm Mermaid, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon were all killers in the water. Most importantly, after the battle at the Prison Emperor Divine Palace, Yu Yang already knew the fatal weakness of the hybrid fishman. Sharkman Neo would definitely die a horrible death. Forget about the fact that he teased Jiang Ying. Even if he did not do that, Yu Yang was prepared to kill him. Come on, quickly come and kill me. I can't wait to die. Come on, what are you going to use to kill me? Use a knife to stab my throat? Use it to cut off my shark fins, okay? Ha ha ha. If you think that I'm just a shark, then you are wrong. Sharkman Neo first mocked him. Then he summoned a jet black, strange grimoire. The grimoire was filled with evil patterns. It was even stranger than the grimoire of innate rancors like the Lich King who sacrificed his life to obtain power. It was filled with a depraved and chaotic aura. Yu Yang's heaven eyes' divine vision flashed. He realized that the jet black grimoire was no longer a summoning grimoire. It was a depraved grimoire. On it, there were no guardian beasts or inherent skills. There was only Sharkman's head and a few contracted beasts. Furthermore, the summoned beasts were all transformed into monsters. They had low intelligence and only had battle instincts. No wonder this fellow's strength had deteriorated so much. From innate level 8 to innate level 6, he was really pitiful. The law had abandoned this Sharkman Neo. The grimoire in his hand did not disappear, but it was no longer a summoning grimoire. The light barrier, inherent skills, and guardian beast had all disappeared. Only a depraved grimoire that was similar to a summoning grimoire remained. From this, it could be seen how evil the secret technique of forcefully killing guardian beasts or normal beasts and assimilating them into their bodies was. Even the grimoire had abandoned its owner. This was the first time Yu Yang had seen such a tragic scene. In the Prison Emperor Divine Palace, although the Heaven Realm Rankers had also done this, they probably did not go to the extreme. Their appearances had changed, but some of their summoning grimoires still existed. Sharkman Neo had probably killed many beasts to sustain his life during the collapse of the space. That was why he could not even keep his grimoire and became a pitiful, depraved warrior. Scum like you are useless even if you don't die. Yu Yang did not summon his grimoire. He only took out his crescent blade and Hui Ji magic blade. His aura exploded 1,000 times. The entire sky seemed to have been sliced into two by an invisible sword. On one side was a blazing inferno, while on the other was a bone-chilling ice hell. Yu Yang, who had unsealed his innate level 1 strength, had his aura rise again. It was as if a demon king had descended. The entire sea surface was enveloped in a kind of pressure. In the sky to his left, countless frost particles and snowflakes floated down. Those broken ships that were standing upright and slanted were covered in frost. Even the surface of the sea had turned ashen white, as if it was about to freeze. However, this was not the most terrifying thing. On Yu Yang's right hand, a small fire lotus slowly floated in the air, as if it had a life of its own as it moved without any wind. When these fire lotuses appeared, other than the heat of hell, there was also a kind of terrifying pressure. The Mudskipper man was the weakest and could not withstand it. He was actually forced to sink into the sea by this kind of pressure. No matter how hard he struggled, he could not get out of the water. All the hybrid fishmen's faces changed. They never thought that their opponent, who had only unsealed his innate level 1 strength, would be so overbearing. This kind of suffocating pressure was actually released by a young, innate level 1 young man. It was unbelievable. Admit defeat, you are not his match. Whale Zhang, who had the largest body, suddenly opened his mouth and shouted at Shark Neo. It's not too late to stop now, Neo. This is not an enemy you can provoke. No, never. Shark Neo was extremely regretful, but he could not admit defeat to Yu Yang. He was a ranker who had lived for thousands of years. Even if the space collapsed, he could still survive. Did he really have to admit defeat to a young human? No matter how strong an innate level 1 was, could he kill a level 6 and 8? Shark Neo definitely did not believe it. He decided to fight to the end. Perhaps this battle would be tragic, but he did not think that he would lose. Even if he lost, he would still have the glory of fighting. How could he be considered an innate ranker if he surrendered without a fight? Even if he was no longer an innate, he was once a supreme innate. If he were to admit defeat to a stinky brat, how could he raise his head in front of his friends? Kill. Come, let's fight it out. Sharkman Neo used all of his beasts to transform his body. From a shark-like body, he became a giant with 8 snake arms and a fishtail. His upper body was like a fish and a human at the same time, but his lower body was still like a shark. He had a few more arms and 2 pincers that looked like prawns. His back was filled with poisonous thorns like a stone tiger's thorns. This was already Sharkman Neo's strongest display of strength. It had not been seen for hundreds of years since the last great battle. But even so, Octopus Man Boss was still frowning. 2 hybrid fishmen who had the best relationship with Sharkman Neo moved slightly forward, ready to help at any time. Yu Yang's afterimage disappeared. In the instant that Octopus Man Boss and Swordfish Blast looked at him in shock, he flashed past Sharkman Neo's body. Only when his real body appeared on the surface of the sea did the other hybrid fishmen realize that Yu Yang had already attacked. What's the meaning of this? Sharkman Neo looked at Yu Yang in confusion. Did he attack just now? Why didn't he attack his own body? Idiot, you're already dead. Yu Yang was speechless. He turned around and didn't look at Sharkman Neo again. Under the shocked gazes of all the hybrid fishmen and Sharkman Neo, 2 red lines appeared on Sharkman Neo's body in a crisscross pattern. Immediately after, Neo screamed in fear. His arms fell off one by one, and his body tilted uncontrollably. However, in the process of tilting, his body split open at the red lines, breaking into a few pieces and falling into the sea. Octopus Man Boss didn't look at Yu Yang. He looked at Swordfish Blast with cold sweat all over his body. A drop of cold sweat dripped down Swordfish Blast's forehead. He muttered, showing the shock in his heart. World exterminating wheel, world exterminating wheel. Chapter 457. You actually killed Neo? The 2 hybrid fishmen who had the best relationship with Sharkman Neo were shocked and angry as they roared crazily. I will say it one more time. Under Yu Yang's feet, the sea had already been dyed blood red. Pieces of Sharkman Neo's corpse floated up and down. A large amount of blood dyed the originally black seawater with a bloody stench. It was just like a slaughterhouse. Yu Yang's beheading was very powerful. One-hit kill. Sharkman Neo did not even have the chance to say his last words. He was still in shock when he died. Yu Yang's expression was extremely serious. The crescent blade and Hui Jin magic blade in his hands emitted an aura of death that made people's hearts tremble. He looked at the warriors who had fallen from the innate rancors to the hybrid fishmen. His voice was light but unusually clear. Everyone, I don't want to talk to you about any great principles. I believe you all know that this world respects the strong. So, the Mother Earth potion will belong to me. Don't block my way, or else I will definitely turn this place into a slaughterhouse. If it was another innate level 1 who said such arrogant words, he would have been drowned by the hybrid fishman's saliva long ago. However, when Yu Yang announced that the Mother Earth potion would belong to him, the whole place was dead silent. No one dared to refute. They were all stunned by his imposing manner. Jiang Ying saw Yu Yang's valiance and power. She was so excited that her chest heaved up and down. Her heart beat faster and her face turned red. It was undeniable that this guy's words and actions were very arrogant. His moves were also very powerful. Once he said he would kill without mercy, he would kill his opponent. Who in this world would have such courage? Moreover, this was to protect her dignity. He only attacked her to protect her from the enemy's insults. Thinking of this, Jiang Ying's heart was beating faster and she was secretly happy. It felt good to have someone who cared for her and protected her. She had fought with him before and knew that he was not weak. The rumors about him, the Yu clan's 3rd young master, were even more amazing. A 20-year-old innate, Ji Zun's successor, defeated Shun Tian, Black Prince, and other super innates, and charged into the Demon Palace alone. These stories were not only spread in the Soaring Dragon continent, but also in Tong Tian Tower. Moreover, they had also received confirmation from the Warrior Guild, which confirmed that it was true and not an exaggeration. The most shocking thing was that the Dragon Emperor, who they had never met before, was one of the 5 emperors of Tong Tian Tower. He said that the Yu clan's third young master would be the next Ji Zun in the future, and the Eastern Goblin tribe would never take the initiative to make an enemy out of him. This kind of talk in the entire Sky-Split Tower had never been heard before. Jiangning knew that Yu Yang was very powerful, but she realized that she had underestimated him. Even though she knew that Yu Yang had once fought against Shun Tian and the Black Prince, and had once barged into the Demon Palace alone to fight against several Demon Kings, she did not expect Yu Yang to be able to kill the level 6 innate Sharkman Neo in one move. One had to know that his hornless Dragon Devourer had also hit Sharkman Neo, but that guy was completely fine. But Yu Yang defeated him in one move. From this, it could be seen that there was a huge gap between them. Killing Sharkman Neo does not mean that you have the ability to get the Mother Earth potion. You have to know that he is practically the weakest among us. A Cancer Man, after some deliberation, controlled his words and tried his best not to provoke Yu Yang. He did not give Yu Yang a chance to fly into a rage, and only spoke the facts. Yes, that's right. The Mother Earth potion is extremely important to us. Whether we can recover our original bodies depends on it. If you take it away, you might as well kill us. Mudskipper Man jumped out and shouted loudly. Actually, he knew that he would not get a share of the Mother Earth potion, but he was very unhappy that he had lost 100 deep sea gems. What made him the most unhappy was that his gamble had been slapped in the face by Yu Yang. Mudskipper Man did not have the ability himself, because he was the weakest among the fishmen. He was much weaker than Sharkman, but he slyly shouted, "We have 37 people, and you only have 2. So what if you're good at fighting? We are not going to fight you one-on-one. We're going to fight together. Do you think that a level 1 and 8 like you can fight against 37 of us? You have divine weapons, but don't wait for us to not have them. Our boss has a holy ranked weapon. And blast, take out your holy ranked weapon and show it to him. Tell him that we are not to be trifled with." Swordfish Man Blast was speechless. He thought to himself, even if you want to cause trouble, you have to choose the right time. Cough. Young man, if you want to get the Mother Earth potion, indeed, you need to prove that you have the ability. Octopus Man Boss hesitated for a while, but finally spoke, expressing his disagreement with Yu Yang's overbearing behavior of asking for the Mother Earth potion. They had unintentionally discovered the signs of the Mother Earth potion and waited for hundreds of years. Now, this young man in front of them wanted it just like that. It was fine if it was an ordinary treasure, but the Mother Earth potion was the best treasure that could allow them to be reborn as human beings. How could they let it go? Yu Yang's eyes flashed, as if he already knew that the other party would say this. He slowly kept the Crescent Blade and Hui Jin Magic Blade, empty-handed, and took a deep breath. When Jiang Ying saw his action, she immediately moved away from the top of his head and looked at him from afar. Her departure made many of the hybrid fishmen confused. What was this girl trying to do? Was she going to give up the battlefield and let this brat fight with everyone? Swordfish Man Blast's eyes suddenly turned cold. He grabbed Mudskipper Man's neck and threw him far away. He also quickly left the encirclement. Octopus Man Boss also reacted. He hurriedly waved his hand and shouted for everyone to leave. However, the 2 hybrid fishmen who were closest to Sharkman Neo mistakenly thought that Octopus Man Boss was going to attack. They thought that everyone was going to attack Yu Yang together. They first shouted crazily and released the aura of innate level 6. Then, they charged towards Yu Yang. Because of their wrong judgment, they did not hear Octopus Man Boss shout clearly. On this side, Yu Yang was unsealing the power of innate level 2. The terrifying shockwave was like a volcanic eruption, shaking the entire sea surface. Giant waves that were hundreds of meters high formed a huge wave wall, spreading outwards. Yu Yang, who was in the center of the storm, had his hair fluttering even though there was no wind. His aura had already turned his robe into dust, revealing a muscular, perfect body that was incomparably strong. Raging flames, ice, and lightning almost shattered the entire space. The terrifying air whirlpool was in opposition to the water whirlpool on the surface of the sea, presenting a phenomenon that could only be seen in nature. If you felt that was not enough just now, how about now? Yu Yang, who had unsealed the power of innate level 2, stretched out his hand and grabbed the two hybrid fishmen that were charging towards him. Like a giant pinching two small loaches, he held the two innate level 6 hybrid fishmen tightly in his hands. Let's die together. The two hybrid fishmen knew that they could not escape and decided to self-destruct, perishing together with the enemy. Wait, Octopus Man Boss shouted, but it was already too late. You're really seeking your own death. Originally, Yang only wanted to humiliate these two fellows and beat them up. He didn't think that he would kill them. However, not only did the enemies not struggle and retreat, they even hugged him and prepared to self-destruct together. Yu Yang was immediately enraged. His roar was like thunder. His roar was deafening, like a thunderbolt from the clear sky, exploding on the sea surface. Countless fire lotuses quickly condensed, forming a solid heaven's fury fire lotus. And the nirvana flame formed a concentrated fire pillar, shooting straight into the sky. In an instant, Yu Yang, who had unsealed the power of innate level 3, had the power of a supreme innate that was equivalent to a level 8 innate. Facing the self-destruction of the two innate level 6 hybrid fishmen, Yu Yang first angrily smashed their heads together, smashing their heads like rotten watermelons. Then he stretched out his hand, and the mysterious little beast transformed into a sharp sword. Swoosh, swoosh, the two hybrid fishmen were cut in half at the waist. The nirvana flame on his left hand burned fiercely as he reached into the stomachs of the two hybrid fishmen and forcefully pulled out their orbs. Then he quickly purified and refined them. The aura of self-destruction disappeared in an instant. Countless energy gushed out from the corpses of the two hybrid fishmen. Without the support of the orbs, there was no possibility of an explosion. Yu Yang summoned his grimoire, and the ring-shaped world grew again. From the original 50 meters, it expanded to 60 meters. All the energy was absorbed by it. All of it was transformed into the basic energy for its growth. Octopus Man Boss's face turned pale. He finally understood that this young man was an undefeatable existence. The fact that the other party dared to fight for the Mother Earth potion with the strength of two people was not because he wanted to steal it, but because he wanted to rely on his own strength. All the hybrid fishmen were trembling with fear. Although they were a bit stronger than Sharkman Neo, there was not much of a difference. The strongest Octopus Man Boss, Swordfish Blast, and Whale Zhang were only innate level 8. The rest were either innate level 7 or innate level 6, and some were even innate level 5. In front of such a strong enemy, there was no possibility of winning. The other party was only innate level 3, but he had the power to suppress the Octopus Man Boss. Furthermore, he had the world exterminating wheel and Nirvana flame. If these two were not enough to kill all living beings in a second, he also had the Tong Tian beast. Just now, he had slashed his two companions in half at the waist. It was done by that Tong Tian beast. Furthermore, he had an extremely strange grimoire. It was much thicker and bigger than any other grimoire, with more heaven runes and a special halo. If the holy grimoire did not look like this, they would have thought that it was a holy grimoire. If they really fought, even if all of them surrounded him, they would not be able to win. Furthermore, how many people would be willing to face this kind of suicidal action? At the very least, he would never throw his life away. The hybrid fishmen looked around and realized that the strongest Octopus Man Boss, Swordfish Man Blast, and Whale Zhang had no intention to fight at all. They all shrunk their heads in silence. Only Mudskipper Man, who was battered by the shockwave, jumped out and screamed, "Wait a minute, maybe you don't know? Before getting the Mother Earth potion, you have to go through the 5 great whirlpools at the bottom of the sea. The 5 great whirlpools are all under the sea. You might be powerful in aerial battles, but what about underwater battles? Can you defeat us in underwater battles? We are born to be experts in naval battles. Also, there are only 5 people who can enter. We will send 5 people to block the way so that you will never be able to enter. If you don't cooperate with us, you will never be able to get the Mother Earth potion. If you want to cooperate with us, you have to apologize to me first. No matter what, brat, I am still your senior. Do you really want me to apologize? Are you sure? Yu Yang's question was as cold as ice, causing the mudskipper man to shiver. Little Winley came out from the grimoire world. Following closely behind her were Stone Element Medusa, Storm Mermaid, Thunder Naga, and Ice Serpent Demon. All the hybrid fishmen were dumbfounded. It turned out that this brat was not best in aerial battles, but in water battles. Seeing the Storm Horn in Storm Mermaid's hands, the Golden Bow in Stone Element Medusa's hands, the Thunder Naga's Thunderball, and the Ice Serpent Demon's sharp blades that emitted endless cold air, the hybrid fishmen could not help but shiver. Fighting in water battles with this brat, even 10 lives would not be enough. Mudskipper Man was so scared that his body almost went limp. His teeth were chattering like a typhoid patient soaked in ice water. Yu Yang looked at Mudskipper Man, who was trembling in fear, and said sincerely, "Senior, don't force me to kill you, okay? I must get the Mother Earth potion. I don't want to repeat myself a second time." Chapter 458. With regards to Yu Yang's strong performance, even the innate rancors who survived the sea war a few thousand years ago could not help but tremble. Such a young human with such strong strength. It was unimaginable. Maybe we can talk. The Octopus Man boss finally made a decision. He reckoned that even if he obtained the Mother Earth potion, it would be meaningless. Because even if he regained his human form, this young man would still kill everyone. Instead of fighting to the death, it would be better to cooperate. "We want to be free," Whale Zhang hummed. "If you can break the seal and bring us away, the Mother Earth potion will belong to you." "Where's the seal?" Yu Yang asked directly. "Under the sea." Swordfish Man Blast dived into the sea first, leading the way for Yu Yang and the hornless dragon Jiangying. Once the hornless dragon Jiangying entered the water, she immediately displayed her extremely graceful movements. She was not inferior to the Stone Element Medusa, Storm Mermaid, and other beasts that were unparalleled in water battles. Her strength in the water far exceeded that on land. She was like a fish in water, even above the hybrid fishmen. The hybrid fishmen were speechless. Only now did they realize that their decision, just now, was very wise. When it came to water battles, this man and woman were not inferior to them at all. If they were to fight, the consequences would be unimaginable. Diving deep into the sea, countless sunken ships and collapsed islands appeared in front of Yu Yang's eyes. From this scene, it could be seen how tragic the sea war was. In the depths of the sea, countless sealing formations were densely connected. Some were blood red, some were golden, some were dark green, and some were silver. The sealing formations were of different shapes and sizes, but all of them were connected and constantly absorbing energy from the sea. At the same time, they emitted a special ripple. This ripple energy had no effect on Yu Yang and the hornless dragon Jiangying, but it was very strong on the hybrid fishmen. Like invisible shackles, these hybrid fishmen were all bound in this collapsed space. Even if they could move freely in the sea, they would definitely not be able to leave the graveyard of the sea. They would be imprisoned here for life, and before the seal was removed, they would never be free. Yu Yang could even feel that there was a seal within the bodies of these hybrid fishmen. He did not know what level of expert had cast it, but it prevented them from leaving the water for the rest of their lives. Perhaps they could only leave the water temporarily, but they were definitely unable to leave the water and live on land for a long time like normal people. The Mother Earth potion might be able to restore these hybrid fishmen back to their original human forms. However, it was wishful thinking for them to leave the bottom of the water. Unless he undid the seal in their bodies, Yu Yang used his Heaven Eyes divine vision to discover that the seal in these hybrid fishmen's bodies and the hybrid fishmen's bodies were very closely linked. It was difficult to return to a human body, but undoing the seal was even more difficult. It could be said that the powerhouse who had placed the seal on them had completely blocked their path of returning to the surface. There are a lot of seals, and they cover the entire seabed. Is there any way to undo them? Octopus Man Boss actually did not have much hope. With the wisdom and power of more than 30 innates and thousands of years of research, they were still unable to undo these seals. Now, they were counting on a young human of around 20 years of age. Was this reliable? Don't worry. Let him take a look first. Hornless Dragon Jiang-Ing saw that the hybrid fishman's emotions were fluctuating, so she quickly comforted them and calmed them down. The hybrid fishman hoped that Yu Yang would have a way to undo the seal, but they were also afraid that the higher their expectations, the greater their disappointment. They were all very anxious. Can you do it or not? Just looking and not talking. Are you trying to kill us? Mudskipper Man could not hold it in anymore. You shut up. Swordfish Man Blast shouted angrily. Mudskipper Man was so scared that he immediately shut up. After looking for a long time, Yu Yang then said leisurely, "This seal at the bottom of the sea is not difficult, but it will take a long time. However, the seal in your bodies will probably be very troublesome. Even if you get out, you will most likely have to live in the water for the rest of your lives. Even if you regain your human form, you will still have to live in the water for a long time." Actually, all the hybrid fishmen were very clear about the latter result. If not for this, they would not have chosen to become fishmen, monsters, and hibernate at the bottom of the sea for thousands of years. Their only desire was to leave this graveyard of the sea. Freedom was far more important than anything else. Hearing that Yu Yang had a way to undo the seal at the bottom of the sea, these hybrid fishmen did not believe it at first. However, when they saw that Yu Yang's serious expression did not look like he was lying, they immediately became excited. After hibernating for thousands of years, even though they had persevered and survived until now, the loneliness and pain they experienced were really indescribable. Even in their dreams, they wanted to leave this graveyard of the sea. However, because of the seal, they had no choice but to hibernate and wait for an opportunity. Now that both parties had the foundation emerge, things would be much simpler. Octopus Man Boss introduced himself to Yu Yang and Jiang-Ing, calling himself Travel Expenses. Yu Yang almost wanted to tell him that he would be even more awesome if he was called Paul. Other than this boss, who was the strongest, Swordfish Man Blast was ranked second, followed by Whale Zhang. The three of them decided to accompany Yu Yang and Jiang-Ing to enter the whirlpool at the bottom of the sea and head towards the Crystal Canyon. Mudskipper Man seemed to want to go too. He kept muttering. He wanted to go, but was too embarrassed to ask. He was actually the weakest among the hybrid fishmen. He was only a level 5 and 8. Yu Yang directly ignored him, making Mudskipper Man very angry. Crystal Canyon. They entered the whirlpool at the bottom of the sea and landed in the Crystal Canyon. Yu Yang realized that this place was very strange. It was similar to the bottom of the Despair Abyss. There was no water here. All the seawater floated high up in the sky, forming a strange underwater dome. In front of him, there was a sea of sparkling crystals. The ground, the stone mountains, and everything else that he saw were all crystals. Tiny crystals covered the ground. Huge crystals formed small mountains. Countless crystal pillars stood tall, forming all kinds of wonders. In the middle of the wide canyon, there was a deep depression. Along the way, countless crystals were scattered. This place was not only filled with crystal energy, there was also a kind of restriction. Only 5 people could enter at the same time. Once the limit was reached, even beasts could not be summoned. The Crystal Canyon was very big. It was estimated to be at least a few kilometers long. There were crystals all over the mountains and plains. Even though Yu Yang had seen countless rare treasures, he could not help but sigh when faced with this Crystal Canyon. If he had time to train here and absorb the crystal energy, he believed that he would be able to get twice the results with half the effort. Especially Sickly Beauty, she was naturally compatible with crystals. If he brought her here to train, she would definitely make rapid progress and break through again and again. As Yu Yang was thinking, Swordfish Man Blast suddenly said, "Over there, an ancient guardian." When Yu Yang looked up, he realized that there was a platinum-ranked level 10 Crystal Man. It climbed up the crystal walls as if it was flying, as if it was walking on flat ground. Its speed was extremely fast, and it was as agile as an ape. This Crystal Man was transparent and crystal-like. It was similar to the rock golem, but it was indeed a living being and not a machine. Yu Yang was stunned when he saw it. It looked similar to humans, but there were crystal barbs on its back. It had no hair on its head, only crystal-like sharp edges that were arranged in a very unique way. There was no obvious difference in its facial features. They were all made of crystals. The only difference was that its nose was tall, its eyes were deep, and its mouth was completely blank. It could be seen that it did not need to eat like a normal living being. What will happen if I kill it? Yeon did not really want to kill it. He just wanted to capture one and bring it back for research. It is impossible to kill it. Once it dies, it will immediately revive here. It is originally made of crystals. Unless the crystal canyon is completely destroyed, it will not die. Octopus Man Boss Pan Huan explained. As they conversed, more primordial guardians appeared. They should not have intelligence. However, their instincts were already very outstanding. The first crystal man that discovered the intruders did not attack immediately. Instead, it stopped at a distance and waited for its companions. If the Mother Earth potion was about to be born, Yu Yang would definitely not be polite and show off his skills to send all these ancient guardians flying. However, there were still 2 more days before the Mother Earth potion would be born. Yu Yang did not want to cause unnecessary trouble at this time. He used Heaven Eye's divine vision to observe the canyon and confirm the location where the Mother Earth potion could be born. He immediately waved his hand. Let's go back. When the time is right, we will come again. Jiang Ying looked at Yu Yang. She really wanted to ask him if he really found the location where the Mother Earth potion was born. He just needed to come here to take a look, and he would know. He didn't need to search carefully. She chose to believe in Yu Yang in the end. She was also not sure why she trusted Yu Yang so much. Perhaps the feeling that he gave people was that he was absolutely trustworthy. Octopus Man Boss Pan Chan, Swordfish Man Blast, and Whale Zhang were all confused. Were they going back just like that? If that was the case, why did the 3 of them need to accompany them? They originally thought that it would be a tough battle. They did not expect that they did not even need to do anything. They just needed to take a look and they could go back. We will come again in 2 days. As long as we get the Mother Earth potion, I will definitely break the seal and let you leave the graveyard of the sea. If anyone comes here before us, you must stop them. If you cannot fight them, then let 5 people enter and block the way. The Mother Earth potion must not fall into the hands of others. This is the first foundation of our cooperation. If I successfully get the Mother Earth potion, I will think of a way to help you slowly recover your human bodies. Yu Yang used 2 methods at the same time and provided enough bait. No problem. We have decided to choose freedom and human bodies. Octopus Man Boss represented all the hybrid fishmen and made his final statement. Fire Island, Starfish Hotel. Hai Yingwu saw a person who was dripping wet walking through the door. She was stunned for a moment before realizing that this person was the drowned ghost. Princess Ying's super lecherous butler. This person who was said to be so drunk in the nightless club that he fell into the sea to feed the fish and prawns was actually not dead. He was as tenacious as a cockroach and came back alive. But after thinking about it, Hai Yingwu felt that this was normal. Although this person was lecherous, he had a certain level of strength. Without meeting any underwater beasts, normal fish and prawns would not be able to eat him. Seeing that he was about to fall at any time, Hai Yingwu could not help but squeeze out a charming smile and went forward to support him. Wretch, who would have thought that this fellow would suddenly vomit? A mouthful of liquid mixed with seawater and vinegar sprayed all over Hai Yingwu's towering breasts, drenching her body. Hai Yingwu hated him so much that she almost wanted to strangle him to death. Don't drink too much, it's bad for your body. Hai Yingwu used all her endurance to maintain her smile and beautiful tone. Don't worry about me, I'm not drunk. Wretch. The drunk Yu Yang was about to vomit on Hai Yingwu's chest again. This time, she could not hold it in anymore. Seeing that there was no one around, she threw him into the storeroom with extreme disgust. Before leaving, she even kicked him twice unwillingly before rushing back to take a bath. She could not be bothered with this kind of scum anymore. Once she left, the drunk Yu Yang immediately sobered up and laughed silently. His eyes were filled with ridicule. Back in his room, he released Jiang Ying from the grimoire world. Jiang Ying had been laughing secretly. Although she did not see the process of Yu Yang teasing Hai Ying Wu, she could imagine it, so she could not help but laugh secretly. She was so happy that she could not stop. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Yu Yang and Jiang Ying's expression changed because they did not sense anyone coming. Who was it that had such terrifying stealth abilities that they could hide from Yu Yang and Jiang Ying's senses? Could it be the Ocean Emperor? Chapter 459. Yu Yang and Jiang Ying looked at each other and nodded slightly. The two spider queens pulled out their blades vigilantly, ready to attack at any time. Actually, this was just an instinctive reaction. If they were more intelligent, they would understand that if an enemy that even Yu Yang and Jiang Ying could not sense was not a super strong enemy that they could deal with. The knocking on the door was rhythmic, unlike the polite knocking of a hotel maid. Moreover, it was impossible for a maid to hide from Yu Yang and Jiang Ying's sharp senses. Yu Yang opened the door. In just a few seconds, he had thought of dozens of ways to deal with the situation. However, when he opened the door, he realized that all his plans had failed. "It's you?" Yu Yang was very surprised. The person standing in front of Yu Yang was not someone else, but a man that Yu Yang could never imagine, but he knew. He was the hemp-clothed old man that Yu Yang saw the first time he came to the Assassin Guild. At that time, he was dozing off at the table. He looked old and frail. If not for his divine vision, Yu Yang would not have been able to tell that he was a ranker. It was because of his test that Yu Yang obtained the Bloodflower map of the Soaring Dragon continent and started his first bounty hunt. Tonight, he looked at the hemp-clothed old man again. With his heaven eyes divine vision, Yu Yang realized that the hemp-clothed old man's strength was still unfathomable. He could not see his true strength at all. When they first met, the hemp-clothed old man gave Yu Yang the feeling of a sleeping dragon. Now, this feeling was even clearer. At first, Yu Yang thought that this hemp-clothed old man was a level 7 overlord or a level 8 emperor. Although he got to know many rankers in the Soaring Dragon continent, he did not discover the existence of the hemp-clothed old man. He thought it was a little strange, but there were many hermits in the Soaring Dragon continent, so Yu Yang did not pay much attention. Until today, Yu Yang realized that he was completely wrong. This old man was definitely a super innate ranker. The feeling he gave off was similar to the mysterious Night Empress. He was probably an expert at that level. It could be said that even the impatiens, who had reached the level of a female sovereign, might not be able to defeat this hemp-clothed old man. "Brat, what are you standing there for? Aren't you going to invite this old man in for a seat?" The old man in hemp garment was quite generous and walked in with a swagger. "Senior, you are?" Yu Yang asked respectfully. If Yu Yang had called the mudskipper man senior with a sense of mockery, then the way he addressed the old man was absolutely sincere. When Yu Yang first met him, he felt that this hemp-robed old man was not as simple as he seemed. It was just that his eyes were not sharp enough back then, and he could not see through it. Now that he thought about it, when he advanced to the innate realm, the pillar of light shot straight into the sky. Many people in Whitestone City, especially the bandits, should have been alarmed. Later on, it was very secretive. No one knew. No one saw the innate light pillar. Now that he thought about it, Yu Yang was secretly shocked. Could it be that this old man secretly helped me settle it? Jiang Ying could not see through the other party's strength and only felt that he was stronger than her grandfather. She hurriedly invited him to sit down and personally poured a cup of tea for the old man. Even though she could not understand the other party's intentions, it did not seem like he had ill intentions. Jiang Ying did not dare to be negligent. The old man generously accepted the tea and casually commented, "Brat, your wife is not bad." Nowadays, there are very few young people who know how to respect their elders. It's rare. Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying heard this and blushed. She looked at Yu Yang. Originally, she wanted to argue that she was not his wife, but when the words reached her mouth, she did not say it. After that, she peeked at Yu Yang. Seeing that he did not correct her, her face became even redder. With trembling fingers, she poured a cup of tea for Yu Yang, but did not dare to pass it to him. She only placed it in front of him and quickly withdrew her hand, as if she was afraid of touching his hand. Yu Yang laughed and patted the seat beside him. "Wife, sit here." Jiang Ying heard this and coquettishly rolled her eyes at him. She meant that he should not be too greedy. That kind of young girl's shyness made Yu Yang secretly happy and proud. "My name." The hemp-clothed old man put down his teacup and said with a bit of indifference, "Perhaps you've heard of me and even think that I'm a very terrifying person, but I'm actually just an ordinary old man. Most of these rumors are false. My name is Enshi, the Enshi that people say killed 1,000,000 people." "What?" Yu Yang was stunned. Hornless dragon Jiang Ying was even more shocked and cried out involuntarily, looking like she was about to be scared out of her wits. What did the name Enshi represent? It represented death. It was rumored that Enshi was a level 10 innate super innate. He had once single-handedly massacred the entire continent's warriors and killed more than 1,000,000 people, setting a record that no one in the history of Tong Tian Tower could ever surpass. In the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, the only one who could truly win was Ji Zun, who was ranked 5th together with Sky Execution. If it was only the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. In front of him, other than the number 1 Ji Zun, there was the number 2 Ocean Emperor Wanlan, the number 3 Undead Emperor Gu, and the number 4 Great Demon King Baruth. This ranking was different in the 9th floor of Tong Tian Tower. Ji Zun and the Ocean Emperor were still ahead of Enshi, but Gu and Baruth were surpassed by Sky Execution, Enshi and Night Empress, who was ranked even lower. Enshi, Sky Execution, and Night Empress did not stay in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower for too long, so their reputation was not as good as Gu and Baruth's. In terms of real battle power, Enshi, Sky Execution, and Night Empress were far above Gu and Baruth. Especially Night Empress. She set Ji Zun as her goal and quickly caught up. Even Dragon Emperor, Sky Emperor, Ocean Emperor, and Emperor of the Underworld felt threatened. In terms of reputation, Enshi's infamy was unsurpassable. The record of slaughtering 1,000,000 warriors, even if all the homicidal maniacs were to add up, they might not be able to reach this number. There was a saying in Tong Tian Tower, "If you offend a supreme innate, you will definitely die. There is no turning back." And this person is Enshi. Yu Yang would never have thought that the hemp-clothed old man was Enshi. This old man really slaughtered 1,000,000 people? Terrifying. "I have killed many people, but I am not a homicidal maniac like the legends say. I am just taking revenge." When the hemp-clothed old man said this, Yu Yang almost fainted. Killing 1,000,000 people for revenge? How much hatred did he have? The hemp-clothed old man did not care about Yu Yang's exaggerated expression and slowly said, "Just one more person, then the whole revenge will be complete." A thought flashed in Yu Yang's mind. To be able to make the hemp-clothed old man come personally, who could it be? Unless it was him. When Yu Yang thought of this, he immediately realized and exclaimed, "The Ocean Emperor." The hemp-clothed old man nodded in satisfaction and praised. "That's right. Your brain is really good. You figured it out immediately." Seeing that Yu Yang had guessed it, Jiang Ying felt a little happy. Although she could not guess it, seeing that he was smart and performed well, she could not help but feel happy for him. "You're always inviting us to attack together." "Wait, let me guess again." Ocean Emperor, the news of the birth of a treasure in the Fire Island deep-sea trench was actually spread by you, right? Why do you want to kill the Ocean Emperor? Let me guess. Is it because of the Mother Earth potion? Are you preparing to spread this news to the Ocean Emperor and wait for an opportunity to kill him? The more Yu Yang thought, the closer he was to the truth. No wonder the news of the birth of a treasure in the Fire Island was spread. It was actually spread by the hemp-clothed old man to cause trouble for the Ocean Emperor. Brat, not bad. Although it is not completely correct, it is not far from the truth. The hemp-clothed old man nodded in praise of Yu Yang's intelligence. "Have some tea." Jiang Ying stole a glance at Yu Yang and was even happier. She quickly got up to pour tea for the hemp-clothed old man. After pouring another cup for Yu Yang, she did not return to her original position. She unconsciously sat beside Yu Yang, at the place where Yu Yang indicated for her to sit. She did this completely unconsciously. Unknowingly, she completely let go of her original reservations and wariness. She sat together with Yu Yang and attentively listened to the conversation between him and the hemp-clothed old man. Every time the hemp-clothed old man praised Yu Yang, she was exceptionally happy, as if she was being praised. The hemp-clothed old man looked at her, just like a grandfather looking at his obedient granddaughter. His eyes were filled with kindness. He picked up the teacup and muttered to himself, "Actually, this little girl's grandfather and I used to be battle partners and very good friends." The Ocean Emperor was also among our companions. Later on, the Ocean Emperor betrayed our entire group. Our huge group of a few hundred people almost all died. At that time, the most united Iron Fist mercenary group in the entire Tong Tian Tower collapsed overnight. The leader died in battle, and all the captains also died in battle. There were only 4 people left: the little girl's grandfather, the old hornless dragon, me, the Ocean Emperor Guanlan, and the last one was Guanlan's loyal best friend, Tai Hu. The old hornless dragon was seriously injured and passed away. Tai Hu was also seriously injured and went into seclusion. I guess the Ocean Emperor had already killed him, so my only target is the Ocean Emperor Guanlan. As long as I kill him, my wish will be fulfilled. Jiang Ying was stunned. And she was once grandfather's comrade? Why did she never hear him mention it? The hemp-clothed old man seemed to see through Jiang Ying's thoughts and smiled. Your grandfather is much older than me. When he was an uncle, I was still a child. At that time, I was not called Enshi but Sashi. Your grandfather usually called me Little Sashi. When he said that, Jiang Ying suddenly had an impression. In her grandfather's memories, many names appeared frequently, including Little Sashi. In her grandfather's memories in his later years, he had mentioned it many times. Of course, there were also the various sorrows of betrayal and team annihilation, which had always been her grandfather's regret. It was because of that Jiang Ying knew about the Mother Earth potion. Otherwise, she would not have invited Yu Yang to come here to search for treasure. How can I assassinate the Ocean Emperor? Yu Yang asked the main point. Regarding the Mother Earth potion, Yu Yang had already confirmed that the hemp-clothed old man did not come for it. He only wanted revenge and to kill the Ocean Emperor. Since he had the intention to get rid of the Ocean Emperor, there was no reason for Yu Yang to stand by and do nothing. He would definitely think of a way to get rid of the Ocean Emperor. The problem was, how could he kill one of the 5 emperors of Tong Tian Tower, the Ocean Emperor Guanlan? Chapter 460. Regarding Yu Yang's question, the hemp-clothed old man pondered for a long time. It's extremely difficult to kill the Ocean Emperor. Even though he's a level 10 innate like me, he's much stronger than me. Although he had not broken through to the innate supremacy stage, the cultivation he had accumulated over the past 1,000 years was unfathomable. Furthermore, his battle prowess could be doubled in the sea, making it extremely difficult to kill him. The only thing we can make use of is the Crystal Canyon where the Mother Earth potion was born. I believe you were here for it too. That year, the old hornless dragon and I, along with the Ocean Emperor and Tai Hu, entered the graveyard of the sea and found the Crystal Canyon. We discovered the birthplace of the Mother Earth potion and fought with the hybrid fishmen. That battle was extremely tragic. At that time, the other party had more than 40 people, and there were even 2 super powerful inborn experts. We didn't have the strength that we have now, so almost all of us were wiped out. At the last moment, the Ocean Emperor turned his back on us and escaped heartlessly. Only then did the old hornless dragon, and I know that the traitor who caused our team's annihilation was the Ocean Emperor. To think that he even pretended to be a gentleman and brought us to take revenge. The Ocean Emperor wants to break through to the innate Elder Realm. He needs to get the Mother Earth potion. That is our best chance. I was the one who spread the news about the Mother Earth potion. The Ocean Emperor also knew that it was me, so he purposely spread the news about the treasure in the deep sea trench and used this cunning trick to divert everyone's attention. Yu Yang and Jiang Ying finally understood what the old man in hemp garment said. If that's the case, the Sea King knows that you will come and kill him? Yu Yang felt that it would not be a good thing if he was exposed prematurely. In fact, for the past few hundred years, I've been waiting for an opportunity to kill him every year. He has the upper hand, so I can't kill him, and he can't kill me. We've always been in a stalemate. If there's a possibility of breaking the balance, the only candidate is you. The hemp garment old man said confidently to Yu Yang. Me? Yu Yang didn't think it was possible for him to kill Neptune. Even though the Ocean Emperor had not broken through to innate level 10, his cultivation was extremely profound. He might even be stronger than Impatience, who had already reached Elder innate realm. In addition, there were beasts, holy ranked weapons, and geographical advantages. Want to kill the Sea King? Easier said than done. The hemp-clothed old man nodded. That's you. If it wasn't for your Nirvana flame and world-exterminating wheel, you wouldn't have been able to kill him at all. Your level is still a bit lower, but you have the advantage in terms of your lethality. When I and the Ocean Emperor fight to the end, it is still very possible for you to kill him. Of course, if you can get your hands on the Mother Earth potion, you'll have a higher chance of leveling up. Yu Yang fell silent. After a long time, Xiao Chan decided to come up with a plan to assassinate the sea monarch Guanlan with the hemp-clothed old man. After repeated deliberations and Yu Yang's supplementation, Zhang Xian finally understood. An hour later, the sea burial plan to assassinate the Sea Emperor was finally finalized. The old man bade farewell and teleported away. He would first enter the graveyard of the sea, enter the Crystal Canyon, lay in ambush, and wait for the Ocean Emperor's arrival. As for Yang, he was still having a headache on how to increase his strength in 2 days. If he wanted to kill the Ocean Emperor other than the old man, he must not alert the enemy. Although Phoenix Fairy Beauty had already become a supreme elder, the moment she came to the Fire Island or the Crystal Canyon, the Ocean Emperor would definitely run away immediately. He must never know that other than the hemp-clothed old man and she, there was someone else who wanted to kill him. Moreover, if Impatience was injured in the battle, there was still the battle with the Black Hell King. He was stronger than the Ocean Emperor. If he did not have the help of Impatience, the consequences would be even more serious. Impatience could not come. She had to continue training and improve in the Elder Innate realm. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai had not returned yet. Otherwise, they could also be used as a surprise attack. Sickly Beauty, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Yu Bing, Yu Yu, and the others were not strong enough. They could surround and kill the enemy, but surround and kill the Ocean Emperor was extremely dangerous. If they were killed instantly, it would be too late for regrets. Yu Yang would rather fail to assassinate the Ocean Emperor than see them get injured. As for leveling up to the innate realm, it was best to do body fusion. The problem was that no matter how fast it was, it could not be leveled up in 2 days. Just as Yu Yang was having a headache, Jiang Ying's unintentional words made Yu Yang see a glimmer of light in the darkness. Jiang Ying said, "If only I was a little stronger, I might be able to help." She was a level 7 innate, a holy beast. She was very close to becoming a divine beast, but not yet. Of course, it was impossible for Yu Yang to level up in 2 days. His own training was already at his limit. Every night, he would practice with the big lowly in his dreams. It could be said that unless there was a fortuitous encounter like the Mother Earth potion, it would be impossible to be faster. However, for the current Yu Yang, it was still very possible for him to level up Jiangying. After all, he had even tried the difficulty of Impatience breaking through to the Elder Innate realm and succeeded. Now, it was not a difficult challenge to help Jiangying, the Hornless Dragon, level up. You really want to level up? I have a way to help you level up to become a divine beast. When Yu Yang said this, Jiangying was so excited that she jumped up. One must know that becoming a divine beast was her dream. The leveling up that she dreamed of. Jiangying saw that Yu Yang did not continue and thought that he was lacking some conditions. She said anxiously, "Tell me, what do you need? What support do you lack? Tell me, I will look for it immediately." Yu Yang waved his hand and gestured for her to come over. When she came over with a little bit of uneasiness, Yu Yang leaned down and whispered a few words in her ear. When Jiangying heard this, her face immediately turned red. Even her neck and ears started to heat up. Her entire face was steaming hot, and she didn't dare to raise her head to look at Yu Yang for a long time. Her trembling hands didn't even know where to put them. After standing there blankly for a long time, she sneaked a peek at Yu Yang from under her eyelids. When she realized that he was looking at her, she became even more flustered. She hurriedly ran into the inner room, knocking over a chair and 2 flower vases along the way. Just as Yu Yang sighed in his heart, thinking that it was too early to say these words. He prepared to go back and have a good rest and continue working hard tomorrow. Suddenly, she poked her head out from the corner of the wall and weakly called out, "Wait, let me think." There's a way. Yu Yang was ecstatic. When did this girl become so open-minded? If this was the case, wouldn't he be able to take the opportunity to contract her? If he could really turn her into his guardian beast and become a divine beast, then he would have more confidence in assassinating the Ocean Emperor. Most importantly, he might be able to take this opportunity to practice body fusion and have a breakthrough. Even if it was not an increase in level, it would be good to increase his inherent skill. His divine vision was in urgent need of leveling up. Maybe once it leveled up, he would be able to see the weaknesses of the Ocean Emperor. Also, his innate invisible sword chi was about to break through. If he could break through before he consumed the Mother Earth potion, he might even have a chance to level up. Yu Yang's imagination was very beautiful. He did not think that Jiang Ying would reject him. After about an hour, Jiang Ying did not come out. He then remembered that she must be embarrassed. They had only known each other for a short period of time, and they had to practice body fusion naked. Even if this hornless dragon liked him and trusted him, she would not be able to do this. Yu Yang went over and knocked on the door. He tried his best to hide his big bad wolf appearance and said softly, "Rest first. We'll talk about it tomorrow." He said this because he wanted to give Jiang Ying a buffer. Just as he turned around, the door suddenly opened a little. Jiang Ying hid behind the door and said with a voice as soft as a mosquito, "Can we not take off our clothes, can we? Let's try. If we can't level up, then forget it. This place is not good. Let's go back to my old dragon residence. Anyway, we're leaving Fire Island now to reduce the enemy's attention. That Hai Ying Wu has been watching us. Once we leave, she will not suspect us anymore. Let's go. We'll come back the day after tomorrow." Jiang Ying lowered her head and came out from behind the door. It was obvious that her little face was burning. Yu Yang was slightly stunned. He thought that this hornless dragon was braver than he had imagined. She was very decisive in doing things, unlike other women who were sloppy and hesitant. Starfish Hotel. Hai Ying Wu, who was preparing to rest, received a report from her subordinates that the target, Princess Ying, was leaving the hotel with her subordinates. She was shocked. It seemed that the target was preparing to move. Then, just as she was about to follow, she was surprised to find that Princess Ying did not set off towards the Abyss Ocean Trench. Instead, she brought her subordinates towards the teleportation area. Was she leaving? That's impossible. Didn't she come for that treasure? Why would she leave? Could it be that all her previous guesses were wrong? Beautiful Princess Ying, is the service at Fire Island not good? Do you have any dissatisfaction? Why are you leaving now? Hai Ying Wu quickly pretended to meet Jiang Ying by chance and bowed to greet her. "No, I'm just a little annoyed. I'll come again next time." Jiang Ying looked at Yu Yang, the drunkard, with a very dissatisfied expression. Her acting skills were not bad. Women were born with this talent and did not need to learn it all. Hai Ying Wu deeply understood Princess Ying's troubles. What could be more annoying than a useless housekeeper falling into the sea in the middle of the night, and then climbing up, then go to the wrong room in the middle of the night? She was a princess, not a slave. Did she have to serve a drunk housekeeper? Of course not. Hai Ying Wu saw that Princess Ying's hidden anger was like a volcano. She reckoned that once this useless scum left Fire Island, he would be executed by the princess. Since Princess Ying wanted to leave, then she was not an enemy who came to snatch the treasure, but a real VIP. Hai Ying Wu bowed apologetically. She felt guilty for being suspicious and felt that she had completely wasted manpower. There were so many enemies who came to snatch the treasure, and there was not enough manpower. She even targeted the wrong person and wasted a lot of manpower. She had really misjudged and treated a good person as a thief. Welcome to Fire Island again. When Wu bowed, she realized that the perverted housekeeper had secretly stretched out his hand and pinched her buttocks. On the surface, she was still smiling, but in her heart, she wanted to kick this fellow's balls until they burst. She sincerely welcomed Princess Ing and hoped that she would come again in the future. But towards this extremely perverted and disgusting housekeeper, she simply did not want to see him again. The moment Jiang Ying teleported away, her smile froze. She gritted her teeth and shouted fiercely, "Scram! Scram as far as your thoughts go." "What did you say?" Yu Yang pretended not to hear it. Before he teleported, he looked around and realized that there weren't many people around. He immediately stretched out his hand and grabbed Wu's breasts fiercely. Then, he quickly ran to the teleportation circle and let the teleportation personnel, who pretended not to see him, teleported him away. I have never seen such a scum in my life. Wu almost cried from anger. Chapter 461. As soon as Yu Yang teleported away, he heard hornless dragon Jiang Ying snickering. She actually saw him groping Wu just now. She just pretended not to see it. She also knew that Yu Yang did not mean to molest Wu, but to confuse the enemy. But this act was too realistic. She could not help but laugh when she thought of Wu's pitiful look when her breasts were groped, and she had to force a smile. At the same time, she felt happy. Wu saw her as an enemy and kept a close watch on her. This was the perfect time to take revenge. Tong Tian Tower, 7th floor, Old Dragon Residence. Old Dragon Residence was a secluded secret realm with beautiful scenery. It was a green safe area. There were very few carnivorous beasts and only a few herbivorous animals. These deer and rabbits were used to a peaceful life in the forest and were not afraid of humans. They flew more than 10 kilometers from the teleportation circle to Old Dragon Valley. This was the place where the old hornless dragon lived in seclusion in his later years. The scenery was beautiful. Butterflies flew in pairs and flowers were everywhere. A few lesser dragon maids and more than 10 spider demonesses who stayed here hurried to greet Jiang Ying when they saw that their mistress had returned. They also saw that the human, Yu Yang, had returned together with them. While they were greeting him respectfully, they could not help but secretly size him up. They were secretly curious about his relationship with their mistress. When I was young, I stayed with my grandfather for a long period of time. However, most of the time, I lived with my maternal grandmother in the Spider Valley. Sometimes, she would bring me to the human world to play. Although I have never been to the Soaring Dragon Continent, I have been to the Qilan Continent, Ao, Jia Continent, and Gufeng Continent. Those continents are not like Soaring Dragon Continent, which does not allow outsiders to enter easily. We can just create a fake identity and go there. I was very happy living with my grandfather and grandmother because they did not care about my training. If I lived with my mother, it would be very painful. The training was very strict. Unfortunately, my parents went to the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower together to explore the secret of the Heaven Realm Gate. I have not seen them for decades. I wonder how they are now. Returning to Old Dragon Residence, Jiang Ying brought Yu Yang around her old residence and talked about her past. Yu Yang was secretly happy. If a girl was willing to share her past secrets with a man, it proved that she had a good impression of him. Otherwise, she would never do that. It could be seen that Jiang Ying, the hornless dragon, was rather lonely. The old hornless dragon had passed away a long time ago. When Jiang Ying was still a child, he had become weak and old due to his heavy injuries. Finally, he passed away. After that, Jiang Ying lived with her maternal grandmother, the Spider Queen, and had a happy childhood. This good situation didn't last long. The Spider Empress disappeared. The little hornless dragon girl could only return to the Old Dragon Residence to live with her parents and receive extremely strict training. However, not long after, her parents also went to the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower to explore the Heaven Realm Gate. They had not returned for dozens of years. Jiang Ying could only live with her aunt. Her aunt found a husband 10 years ago, so she could only continue living alone. She traveled between the old dragon residence and the Spider Valley, sometimes replacing her grandfather as the Spider Queen, and sometimes returning here as the Hornless Dragon. In her lonely life, she worked hard to cultivate, with the goal of becoming a divine beast. Until he met Yu Yang, she started to have her first male friend. Furthermore, it was not a dragon of the same species, but a human. Your parents seem to be very strong. You don't have to worry about their safety. Yu Yang concluded that Jiang Ying's parents were not simple based on the 3 points. Firstly, the bloodline inheritance. Jiang Ying's father was the son of the old Hornless Dragon and the Golden Dragon Queen. Her mother was the descendant of the great Silver Dragon leader and the Spider Empress. Among the 4 bloodlines, none of them were easy to deal with. Secondly, the training location was the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower. Without the strength of an innate level 9 or above, there was no way to go there. If her daughter was an innate level 7, then Jiang Ying's parents would definitely be powerful people with strength of an innate level 9 or above. Thirdly, the black dragon armor that her parents made for her was a special treasure. It was extremely heavy and could strengthen one's physique and increase the speed of training without harming one's body. Even Yu Yang, who had obtained the inheritance of knowledge and Yu Gong's puppet encyclopedia, wanted to study this mysterious black dragon armor. This showed its value. Taking 10,000 steps back, not mentioning the secret technique of this black dragon armor, it was also made of pure black dragon skin. In this world, how many rankers could wear the real black dragon armor? There were many who used the skin of a lesser dragon to imitate it. The black dragon armor sold in the treasure shop was not made of black dragon skin, but black dragon armor. The two had the same name, but the meaning was very different. Jiang Ying came to the front of a room. Suddenly, she became a little bashful and stopped. She peeked at Yu Yang from under her purple hair with her pale green eyes and said shyly, This is my room. There's nothing to see." Although she said that, she actually wanted Yu Yang to go in and take a look. Out of a young girl's reserve, she was too embarrassed to open her mouth and invite him. She only hinted vaguely, hoping to arouse Yu Yang's curiosity. How could Yu Yang not know what she was thinking? He chuckled and deliberately teased her. "Since there's nothing to see, let's go somewhere else to take a look." When he said that, Jiang Ying could not help but feel disappointed. Slightly annoyed, how could this guy be like this? Just as she was secretly stomping her feet, she suddenly saw Yu Yang quickly reach out and push the door open. Only then did she know that he was teasing her on purpose. The annoyance in her heart instantly turned into surprise and shyness. She felt embarrassed that he had seen through her thoughts, but at the same time, she was quite happy with his deceptive behavior. He was too smart. He could even pick up on her hints. He was not a blockhead who did not know how to flirt. In her embarrassment, Jiang Ying stretched out her hand to block Yu Yang, as if she did not want him to go in. Actually, she only did this to act coquettishly, to show that she did not take the initiative to invite him, but he barged in. "Don't go in. How can you do this? There's nothing to see in here." Of course, Jiang Ying could not stop Yu Yang. She just wanted to save some face. "It smells so good." When Yu Yang entered, he could smell the faint fragrance of a virgin. Actually, this faint fragrance was present on the Hornless Dragon, but the black dragon armor had a special effect of suppressing the smell. Luckily, it was Yu Yang. Normal people would not be able to smell that fragrance. It seemed that it was a kind of protection that Jiang Ying's parents had for their daughter. One must know that many magical beasts relied on smell to find traces. The black dragon armor almost completely blocked out smell. To many magical beasts with a sensitive sense of smell, this suppressing smell was the best defense. It was also because of this that Jiang Ying's innate strength was even more hidden. Normal warriors would not be able to easily see through it. Jiang Ying blushed at Yu Yang's sincere praise. She quickly ran in and rushed ahead of Yu Yang to put all the items that she thought were unsightly to Yu Yang into the cabinet. Actually, it was nothing more than hugging little bear toys, little long-eared rabbit toys, and some other childish cute clothes, pink pajamas. Yu Yang saw that her temperament was actually still like a child. Although she had grown up, her heart still missed the various things from her childhood. Perhaps it was because she was too lonely and lacked the care of her family. Yu Yang did not immediately practice body fusion with Jiang Ying, but played with her for the whole day. For example, Jiang Ying really liked to play childish games like swings. She could fly in the sky, but sitting on the swing while being pushed and thrown by Yu Yang, she would shout happily and be overjoyed. Helping out in the kitchen was also something that she liked to do, but most of the time, it would just cause trouble. With Yu Yang accompanying her, she even wanted to make a huge flatbread, but she failed in the end and had to divide it into dozens of pieces, which made her feel regretful for the whole morning. In the afternoon, Yu Yang accompanied her to swim. The thing that she was most proud of was winning against Yu Yang in a competition. Standing on the shore, she bent down and said to Yu Yang, who had just emerged from the water, "I'm about to doze off from waiting. Can you be any slower?" At night, she could not bear to go back to sleep. Even though she did not say it, she really hoped that Yu Yang would continue to accompany her. Her eyes were a little shifty, not daring to look at Yu Yang. "Tell me a bedtime story? I would never do such a silly thing. I still want to find someone to tell me." Yu Yang cleverly gave her a way out. "All right, then you act as a child, and I will be the adult. I will tell you." Sure enough, Jiang Ying became excited when she heard it. She pulled Yu Yang and pressed him onto her bed. Then, she took a book from the bookshelf and pretended to be serious. She wanted to tell a story to Yu Yang and coax him to sleep. She did not realize what she had done. Perhaps subconsciously, she did not mind Yu Yang lying on her bed. Oh. Yu Yang fell asleep the moment he laid down. In his hand was a sign that said, "Please do not talk to someone who is asleep." This action almost made Jiang Ying lose her breath from laughing. She fell on top of Yu Yang and punched his chest with her small fists. She was so happy that tears came out. After an unknown amount of time, she finally realized that this position was a little ambiguous. She raised her head in embarrassment and looked at Yu Yang. Realizing that his eyes were closed, she did not know what he was thinking about. She quietly buried her head and listened to his heartbeat. Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying suddenly sighed faintly and said in an extremely soft voice, "In the future, after we defeat the Ocean Emperor, no one will talk to me anymore. I will return to my original self, an orphan with no one to rely on. Even if I have parents, they will not care about me." Yu Yang stretched out his hand and gently stroked her soft purple hair. "Actually, I'm also an orphan, similar to you." Jiang Ying's body trembled slightly. She raised her head and looked at Yu Yang with her light green eyes, like a stray kitten that suddenly found a companion. She did not speak and only hugged Yu Yang tightly. 2 large teardrops silently rolled down from her long eyelashes. It was as if she was crying tears of joy, but also as if she was in the same boat. Even Jiang Ying herself could not explain her complex emotions. She only felt that she had seen a ray of light in the darkness of loneliness. A companion had appeared in front of her. It was him. She was no longer alone. Orphans finally had a companion. Since they were both orphans, why not travel together? Jiang Ying cried silently for a while and suddenly smiled through her tears. Her little face was like a pear blossom in tears, but her cherry lips could not help but curve upwards. "Good. So you are still an orphan. All right, let me take care of you from now on. I'm very good at taking care of people. Just listen to me." Yu Yang did not have the time to retract his hand that was originally stroking her hair. Hornless Dragon Jiang Ying suddenly grabbed his hand boldly and placed it on her waist, letting him hug her too. Maybe it was because they were separated by the blanket, so it didn't feel real. She immediately slipped back into the blanket and wrapped her arms and legs around Yu Yang like an octopus. Her body was tightly pressed against him, and her breasts were pressed against his chest. However, she didn't feel embarrassed at all, and only felt satisfied and blissful. It had been a long time since she had felt such a warm hug since her childhood. Compared to the warm hugs of her family in her memory, it gave her a sense of security. A masculine scent that she had never felt before filled her whole body. In his warm embrace, there was an indescribable feeling of joy in her heart. Perhaps this was the legendary happiness. Chapter 462. Jiang Ying had never thought that she would hug a man to sleep. Moreover, it was so natural, and she did not feel embarrassed at all. In fact, both her body and mind felt very comfortable. After waking up, she still did not understand why. She only knew that hugging him like this and letting him hug her made her body develop a kind of dependence that she could not bear to let go. It was a lazy feeling that she had never felt before. It was natural, comfortable, and warm. That's right, there was also happiness. Her heart was no longer lonely. With him by her side, a sense of satisfaction that she had never felt before filled her heart. Just as Jiang Ying yawned lazily and was about to go back to sleep, she suddenly realized that a hot, big hand had entered her clothes and was rubbing her breasts without restraint. He did it so skillfully that he did not care about Jiang Ying's reaction at all. Only now did the hornless dragon realize that hugging him to sleep was completely different from hugging her mother or grandfather when she was young. She wanted to jump up immediately when her breasts were touched, but this offense was a little weird. It was not that kind of evil play, but a kind of natural caress. Jiang Ying looked up at Yu Yang and realized that he was asleep. She was instantly angry. Even if this guy is asleep, he is still a big pervert. Jiang Ying's whole body turned soft from the hot big hands rubbing. She hurriedly pulled the bad hand out. If he continued to rub, she would not be able to take it. It felt too uncomfortable. She was still panting. Then she realized that it was moving towards her buttocks and reached into her pajama pants to feel it. The hornless dragon could not take this kind of attack and quickly grabbed it tightly. She wanted to push it back to his side, but after thinking about it, she felt that although her body was no longer soft, there was an inexplicable feeling of emptiness. She might as well press the bad hand on her lower back and let him continue hugging her. It would feel better this way. As for the matter of her breasts being attacked in his sleep, Jiang Ying guessed that Yu Yang did not know about it at all. It was just an instinct. She wondered how many bad things he had done to cause him to be like this. Jiang Ying hated the sleeping Yu Yang so much that her teeth itched. She really wanted to bite that quiet, handsome face to vent the anger in her heart. Little fallen flowers, let me touch it again. Yu Yang was dreaming of being intimate with city mistress fallen flowers. Not only did his wolfish hands grope everywhere, he even flipped over and pinned Jiang Ying under his body. The hornless dragon shuddered. She felt something strange pressing against the forbidden area of her lower abdomen. It was scorching hot and extremely deadly. The most infuriating thing was that this guy was pressing down on him and calling his woman's name. "You are so heavy, move to the side." Jiang Ying, who was weak all over, used all her strength to flip Yu Yang over again. Huff huff. Yu Yang breathed softly, still in a deep sleep. Sleeping with this guy isn't safe at all. It's so uncomfortable. Although Jiang Ying grumbled, she still could not bear to let go. She only stretched out her hand and lightly pinched his body. However, she was afraid that she would wake him up, so she could not bear to use any strength. In the end, even Jiang Ying herself felt that she had indulged him too much. His breathing stabilized. Jiang Ying suppressed her pounding heart and extended her hand downwards. Secretly, she reached into his pants. She closed her eyes shyly and touched him curiously. Her whole body was trembling. Her thighs were clamped together and her calves were tense. Her toes were so nervous that they almost cramped. After a long time, she finally pulled her hand back while trembling. She then turned around and shyly hid under the blanket. Although she was not 100% clear and did not see it with her own eyes, she already knew many secrets. In an instant, she also understood many things from the original ignorance without a teacher. The one that her aunt had once told her about might be the one who came in and gave birth to the baby. However, that thing of his was a little too big. Could it really go in? If it was really that, maybe he had a way. Jiang Ying's imagination ran wild. She brought the small hand that she touched to her nose and sniffed. There seemed to be a very strange smell left on her hand. It was very light, but different from the rest. It gave off a very masculine and very attractive feeling. Was it the smell from his place? Jiangying was extremely embarrassed. She buried her head in the blanket, and her mind was in a mess. The burning sensation from when she touched him just now kept flashing through her mind. Huge, fiery, masculine, high-spirited. That feeling was too strange. Thinking about it made her even more embarrassed. The last step of body fusion that he mentioned before, could it be that he was referring to that? Not good. The hornless dragon suddenly thought of something and her body shook. There were only a dozen hours left before the birth of the Mother Earth potion. She had not started cultivating with him yet. During the day, she had wasted too much time playing. At night, she still slept like this. It was such a waste. By the time she woke up tomorrow, there would only be a few hours left. How would she cultivate? How would she have the time to level up to fight the Ocean Emperor? Thinking of this, Jiangying immediately sat up anxiously. Yu Yang woke up from his sleep and asked her curiously, "What's wrong?" "I did not touch you, I know. I mean, we have to start cultivating immediately. Otherwise, there won't be enough time." Jiangying pulled Yu Yang up anxiously. "Get up quickly. Now is not the time to sleep." Yu Yang did not understand. Didn't they waste more than 10 hours in the day? Why was she in such a hurry to cultivate at night? Just like this, she was like a primary school student playing for the whole summer. She only had a few days left to do her summer homework. Looking at Jiangying's anxious look, Yu Yang wanted to laugh. Of course, he was happy to see Hornless Dragon Jiangying's change. She took the initiative to ask for it. It was much better than him thinking of ways to bring her to cultivate. She had probably let go of the burden in her heart. With success in sight, Yu Yang wrapped Jiangying in a blanket and carried her up. "Let's go my grimoire world. If we level up, there will be a lot of strange phenomena. It would not be good for others to see it." This really dispelled the embarrassment in the Hornless Dragon girl's heart. Of course, it was better for no one to see it than to alarm the servants. Even though those were the maids who had watched her grow up, it was best not to let them know about this. The more secret, the better. Grimoire world. Because city mistress Fallen Flowers, sickly beauty, and impatience were all accompanying Fourth Mother in the Tian Luo Palace's mirage, there was really no one inside. However, even though they were not there, there were still beasts. Bloody Queen Red, Barbarian Cow Shadow on Man, and the others were all there. Jiangying, who was currently dizzy and stiff from nervousness, did not have any thoughts to sense this. She did not even think about it. She thought that she would have to strip naked and do that once she started cultivating body fusion. She was feeling uneasy. She waited for Yu Yang to explain the mantra one by one so that she could cooperate. Only then did Jiangying know that there was no need to do that at the beginning. Instantly, her nervousness was reduced by more than half and her spirit was lifted. She nodded, indicating that she understood. Actually, her cooperation was very simple. The main thing was to relax her mind and let Yu Yang lead the entire cultivation process. Her mind could not be startled in the middle, so as to not affect the cultivation process. Also, it was a very simple way to circulate energy. For a hornless dragon who had cultivated to innate level 7, this could not be any easier. Moreover, this energy circulation method was being led by Yu Yang. Understood. Jiangying felt that she was really stupid. If she had known this earlier, she would have started cultivating. What a waste of time. At the beginning, they only touched each other's palms. Yu Yang's energy flowed into her body and flowed back. In this cycle, the innate qi continuously expanded her meridians. Because the meridians that she had cultivated were already connected, body fusion was twice the result with half the effort. Very quickly, they entered the second stage. This time, body fusion was more intimate. Their bodies hugged each other. Jiangying did not feel any pressure at all. Anyway, they had just slept in each other's embrace, so this was nothing. More innate qi flowed into her body, making her feel that her energy was undergoing a qualitative change and continuously improving. She was extremely surprised. Once the second stage was over, she automatically cooperated with his movements. When he kissed her lips, she did not hesitate at all. She stood on her tiptoes and opened her mouth slightly to receive his kiss. Only when he kissed her lips did she realize that this was a kiss, her first kiss. However, that wonderful feeling and the innate chi that came from his mouth made her unable to stop. Instead, she excitedly hugged him and sucked hard. Instinctively, she passionately kissed him. Other than innate chi, there was also nirvana flame burning in Yu Yang's palms. He inserted nirvana flame into the vital point on her back, purifying her body while purifying the energy in her body at the same time. The intense pain almost made Jiang Ying scream out loud. But she knew that in order for her body to be reborn, she had to undergo this intense purification. The pain was actually a kind of dissolving process. Their clothes had already turned into ashes. Their bodies were tightly pressed together. The energy in Yu Yang's body continuously refined the energy in Jiang Ying's body, while the nirvana flame continuously purified them. Jiang Ying was in so much pain that her body could not take it anymore and reverted to her real body. Her upper body was still the same, but below her legs, she had turned into the body of a hornless dragon. Golden dragon wings grew on her back. Below her buttocks, her legs turned into a small and cute silver dragon tail. It slowly extended until it was a few meters long. The black dragon fins, golden dragon wings, and silver dragon scales that originally grew on the dragon tail melted under the nirvana flame and were instantly reborn. Jiang Ying, who was in unbearable pain, wrapped her tail tightly around Yu Yang's body. Her dragon wings trembled weakly. If not for Yu Yang's innate qi replenishing her, she would probably die in 10 minutes. Under the refinement of the nirvana flame, she would only be left with her soul and the dragon crystal in her body. However, Yu Yang's innate qi immediately replenished her lost energy and continuously stimulated the potential in her body. Every time Jiang Ying was at her weakest, Yu Yang would drip God's dew into her mouth, allowing her to recover instantly. After an unknown period of time, Jiang Ying found that the pain in her body was getting lighter and lighter. Finally, she was not in pain at all. Instead, she felt a kind of enlightenment and a wonderful comfort. When she opened her eyes, she found that her skin had become 10 times whiter and as smooth as jade. The entire dragon tail looked like it was carved out of white jade and was incomparably beautiful. The dragon wings on her back had also become crystal-like. Other than the bones of the dragon wings, which still had a faint dark gold color, everything else was completely different from before. The abundant energy and perfect body made Jiang Ying immediately realize that she had been reborn. Even though she had not reached innate level 8, she was only a step away from breaking through. As long as she started cultivating, she believed that she would break through immediately. Is this really me? My new tail is so beautiful, just like white jade. Jiang Ying was so excited that she could not control herself. She kissed Yu Yang repeatedly, thanking him for giving her a perfect new body. Her dragon tail swayed proudly and continuously, as if she was a happy child who got her favorite toy. Let's continue and break through innate level 8 in one go. Yu Yang could have tried to take over Jiang Ying's body with his shadow when she was in pain. Moreover, the success rate should be very high. However, he thought that this kind of thing could not be rushed. In the future, if she really could not leave him, she would take the initiative to ask for a contract. There was no need to cast such a shadow in her heart. Okay, Jiang Ying nodded her head in agreement. Then she understood that if she wanted to take another step forward, she would have to have even more intimate contact. Perhaps she would even have to do that. Even though she was very embarrassed, she did not regret it. Instead, she bravely turned back into her human form. Her dragon tail retracted and once again became a pair of slender white legs. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.